healer and balance to take, and they're all 4 different roles. So like it's gonna, I'm assuming most of your stuff in balances, you're not going to change it too much, and that's the same with the other specs as well in the spec tree, because there's just like so much trying to go on at one spot, which is okay. And then obviously I know you just want to talk about like decisions you make, and then also nodes. Specifically thing to call out, it would be like nodes that are in a spot where you feel really bad taking them, either because it's not a good enough talent, or you have to take something not conducive to AoE to like get to AoE, or like in your all's Moonkin thing, I already know this happens, where you guys have to take Stellar Drift to get to some really good AoE talents, which is like really counterintuitive. So like those are the things to mention. And then also Blizzard, just actually today, I'm actually glad this happened today. We did a Hunter talk the other day, and I believe their dev also went into like the Hunter Discord to like hear a couple things from them, and they have like already set precedent that they're like immediately able to actually make swaps where some of the stuff is in the tree, dev also went into if it doesn't make sense, which is really good. So that's like definitely something to highlight. All right, so I guess I'll have you guys introduce yourselves if the stream doesn't know you. I'm pretty sure they do, starting with Nagura.
Yeah, so I'm Nagura. I used to be a WoW first raider a long time ago. And I've played Moonkin mainly for years already. Also play some Rest of Druid, but haven't really played in Shadowlands. So I'm mainly here for the Moonkin talk. And I'm also an MDI caster and a streamer.
Damn. And a fresh Team Liquid member as well.
Of course.
As of earlier this year. And Sang, what's your bit?
Hi, I'm Sang. This guy tells me things that I need to do because he's my raid leader, and sometimes I listen to them.
Okay.
Sometimes. But yeah, I raid with the guild, and I just play Pokemon, and I'm Moonkin, and
he fucking loves Pokemon, and he loves Moonkin. He also has like, what are you ranked in the world for overall mount collection?
Nah, it's not that good still.
How many mounts?
How many balance druids do you have, Sang?
Oh, how many druids I have? I've got like I think I'm up to 9 druids max level right now for mount collecting purposes.
Okay, and how many mounts do you have?
817.
All right.
Oh shit.
So it's actually, I think, really cool that you're one of the people in the guild that, like, most people when they join the guild and they do this, they like lose a lot of the stuff they cared about before, like parsing and just like material cosmetic stuff in the game. You just kind of see them only focus on this. But Sang has been in this guild for like 4 years or something, and he is still just as much like loves the fuck out of the game outside of raid as much as anyone else, which is really cool and unique. And Tettles, what is your bit?
I guess for this purposes, I write the Wowhead Moonkin guide. Similar to Nagura, I cast the MDI. I enjoy pushing high keys. I have 159 mounts, Sang.
That's good.
Thank you.
And
I
you have really
appreciate it.
bad Twitter takes?
Wait, okay, only having 159 mounts is like impressively small for playing the game as long as you have. That's actually like pretty giga Chad.
I started in Warlords of Draenor, and I use travel form for everything. So
I think I have 170.
Disgusting.
Played since Classic.
oh my
Travel
god,
form
Nagura.
users.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
even more giga Chad.
Yeah, I also use travel form most of the time.
What do you, I mean, we'll start like going down this spec tree, but before we do, what are your all's kind of general thoughts about it? Both its quality, like how good it is, and if you know it really gives you anything cool you maybe haven't had before.
Spec or class tree? Which one?
This is the class tree, specifically the class tree.
I think overall I'm pretty happy with the class tree. Like, there's a lot of interesting decisions. There are a couple nodes that I think are mandatory with Astral Influence, like the increased magic damage taken node, and then Lycara's, which are just like, they're like stat nodes and like just like damage nodes. There's also like a Sunfire node that I think there are a couple mandatory nodes, but in general the Druid class tree is weirdly flexible to where you're able to tack in a lot of weird points at times you need it. And say you don't need something like Typhoon or Hibernate or Cyclone, you can actually change around to those points to gain more strength.
Yeah, and one thing that jumped out to me too is how everything you just said was true, where you would grab it based on the scenario. Soothe is kind of not like that, and I think that's something they should look at, right? Like that's like as soon as you're able to get into the second tree by just getting some baseline, you know, just regular things. Let's just say you grab and go down to get improved frenzied regen. The fact that Stampeding Roar is so core to like what a druid brings, like no matter who you are, to almost any content. The fact that you have to grab Soothe, something at least in raid in Mythic Plus, it's way more used, but like in raid content, it's just like extremely niche, and it seems it kind of stuck out to me as something that like looked like it should be in a spot like Hibernate and Typhoon. Do you all agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but
I
I think that's plenty of points, right?
Well, okay, so I want to take my take on the Druid tree entirely. It is basically as Title said, the amount of points you would need, like want to take, just being as a balanced druid, is actually really low. There's very
What up, boys, and welcome back to yet another 9.2 gold making video. So in today's farm, we're looking at yet another cool farm because you're getting multiple items. You're not farming for that one specific thing. In this farm, you can skin the mobs, you can get the new silk of the patch, and you can also get the protoform crafting region. So it's a great farm. On top of that, you obviously have a chance of getting green items that you should put up on the auction house. So before we go into the details, I do want to mention that you guys can still get the 0 to 10 million gold guide. By using code Shadowlands, you get it for 50% off. It's an in-depth, step-by-step setup. It's going to teach you basically how you can go from 0 gold to 10 million gold. And I'm going to follow you like from the start, like even how to make a tune, which farms you should do at the beginning, and then how you should invest your gold into your crafting tunes and so on. And the best part about the book is that whenever a new patch like 9.2 or a new expansion comes out, I'm updating the book for that patch or expansion and sending out the updated versions for free. So if you've already bought the book or you're planning on buying the book, don't worry, you will receive all the updates for a lifetime for free. So you can find the link down below in the description and also in the comments. So this location takes place right up here on this hill. It's right next to two rare elites that can spawn right here. So there's also another one that can spawn up here. So there's 3 rare elites close by. That's really nice because they can drop the Proto Silk and these two, and you can also, I think it's mine the big frog that spawns right here because it's like this mechanical frog thingy, right? But the main dudes that we're after is these guys right here, the Annelid Mud Borer. Now the interesting thing is, oh, it's snails. Never mind, snails, not the frogs. But the interesting thing about this farm is it's actually a farm that we did on day 1. We just came back to it because we knew that these guys could drop protoform materials. That's why we came back to it. And these guys, we finally figured out how you can hyper spawn them. So if you guys look at this clip from my live stream, you guys can see there's a giant pile of mobs right here. The coolest part about it is that we wanted to see if it was possible to do it with only 5 people, because as soon as you have to do a 2x4 setup, it kind of throws a lot of people off. People can't be arsed to organize those farms and so on. But luckily, with the placement of the statue that you guys could see in the video, it is possible to run around and pull all of these dudes, kill them at one location, loot up the Proto Silk, and also you can skin the mobs. So it's great. It really is good. Normally when you do a skinning farm, that's what you get. You only get the leather, right? But you don't have a chance of getting the silk, the new cloth of the patch. So I think it's really cool that you can, in fact, get the silken protofiber because it does sell for a decent amount of gold. The only thing that sucks with the protoform regions is that they don't drop the lattice that you can just sell directly onto the auction house. They only drop this one, Glimmer of Discovery, but it's one of the BOPs needed to craft. So people need these. You need these if you want to craft the battle pets and mounts. You're going to need these glimmers as well. But overall, it's a super solid farm. If you're going to do this, make sure you have to place the statue right here, like north of this little lake right here. And it's very important that you have people pulling south of this lake as well. Like I can show you guys the density on this side of the lake. Like you have all of these guys right here, and you have some more of them over here. Like these have to be pulled in order to get the hyper spawn to work properly. Now you don't have to do it, but the spawns are going to be way slower. And you guys can see there's even more mobs spawning right now. There's probably some people who killed the rarer spawn not too long ago. And then around this dome thingy right here as well, there's a bunch of these guys. So, like long story short, head over to this location right here. Bring some friends. Join my Discord with the link down below if you're interested in finding people to gold farm together with. 5 people is fine. If you can organize a 2x4 setup, that's even better. And you're doing the farm to get silken proto fiber. You're skinning all the mobs for desolate calcite, heavy calcite, and all of that. You vendor the you don't vendor, you auction house the green items, and you will also get the glimmer of discovery from this farm if you've unlocked the proto farm crafting. And that is pretty much it for today's video. So if you guys want to see more videos like this one, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And that is pretty much it for today's video. So if you guys that is pretty much it for today's video. So much it for today's
Bro, I've been muted this whole fucking time. Oh my god. Such a fucking failure. Alright,
that's pretty much it for today's video. So if you guys
how do I make money? How do I make money? $12K. I really don't have a whole lot left anywhere. I think I'm just gonna level some mobs.
Much a lot of room to take extra talents for just utility or personal needs. You can't take every utility talent, right? But you can really pick and choose what you actually need, and sometimes it gives you a lot of room to just, like, you could take the feral kick if you really needed, and you wouldn't lose anything serious. If you wanna, you know, be more of an off healer, you can sacrifice your talents that you would take, that you kind of have to take just to have enough points to go on to the next section in the Guardian tree for more of a off healing. You take the resto equivalents instead. Or if, you know, you want to be tanky, you would take the Guardian equivalents. And it's kind of nice that you can pretty much, like, even though I don't like where Soothe is, because, you know, that's like probably one of the lower end of abilities you would press, especially in raid, when there's, like, I don't actually know what other classes really have a D in rage, but the Druid one is pretty good for that, but don't know how often it's used. Like on bosses, like I think it's like 2 bosses, like this entire expansion maybe, that you actually used it on, off the top of my head. So it is kind of a terrible point that you have to take just to get Stampeding Roar, which you'd probably use like at least 3-4 times a boss.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to say that, like, something that is very unique with Druid is, like, it kind of starts out at the top with everyone's, like, core kit. This is, like, kind of done in Death Knight a little bit, which is the only one that you could kind of relate to it. And then at the bottom, it's, like, all utility in the middle with, like, some, you know, obviously, like, the Barkskin talent. And then the bottom is also almost pure utility. If you look at, like, other classes spec trees, especially ones that are, like, mono role, so, like, Hunters being triple DPS, Rogues being triple DPS, and Death Knight having, like, a tank option, the stuff at the bottom is littered with major power increases. So, like, yeah. So, like, you know, at the bottom of the DK tree, for example, you're picking between Soul Reaper, A-Bomb's Limb, and Power Room Weapon. When you're at the bottom of the Rogue tree, you're talking about getting Thistle Tea, amplification of the current Kyrian ability, or Shadow Dance to any spec, right? And, like, Druid, because they're so uniquely, you know, 4 different specs, only class in the game, and they're also all doing 4 different things, they decided to go a completely different direction with the Druid tree, and it looks like outside of just gaining some of your baseline abilities, you're basically just picking utility, which is honestly kind of insane.
Yeah, and I was actually doing some. I actually was reading into this a little bit. I read somewhere that Shadow Priest in their like spec tree had something like 7 0 DPS talents or some shit in their spec tree, whereas Moonkin in the spec tree only has like 1 or 2. Like,
Yeah, so when you can
Yep.
tell that these designers are running out of ideas or just the class just doesn't have enough stuff is when you see them putting in these points right here, like a 3-point talent, each one gives you 2% damage dealt. That's like something you've seen throughout these trees as only a like, oh, well, we ran out of things here. Like the best case of this would actually be Survival Hunter. Survival Hunter, I believe I counted in their survival tree, which is maybe the worst tree that they've made, has 11 3-point talents, and some of them are as bad as this that I'm hovering over. I'll actually share my screen so you guys can follow along when we're building these trees. But like this one I'm hovering over right now, where you are putting in 1 point per range of melee attacks and abilities for survival, for example. And there are some that are unironically worse than that. And then just to compare that with some other ones by Rogue, they're taking 1 point for 3 entire yards, or in their class tree, 1 point for 3 entire yards. So like not every spec is the same. Each one of these trees, or each one of these classes were made by a different designer. So you're going to see like how they have like a little bit of different philosophies and maybe mix them over time. But there's definitely, I think Druid has the least of that I've seen. Like outside of this point, which seems like it's kind of fitting in with the whole like there's no question that it's in between the Starfire and Rejuve branch of going down. But it's like, you're obviously going to take that, but there's very little of that. Almost everything else is 1 to 2 point talents and things that actually really matter. And that, even though they're utility, I think that's made a lot better than some of the others. Let's bang through this. So if you're a balanced Druid, you're starting out, you are getting Star Surge and Starfire for free. For now, let's just talk about like a single target raid build in the class tree, and then most time you're bringing Moonkin, you have like some multi-dotting. Let's just imagine you're getting a little multi-dot, just like a normal raid fight. It's not quite single target, it's certainly not mass AoE. What are you guys picking, and where are the routes you're going down, and we can add in and talk about the decision making utility afterwards.
Quickly want to say about the Druid tree itself that I think it's so incredibly like individual, because so much of the utility is so niche, right? Like Cyclone, Hibernate, even Innervate is something, depending on the content, you don't even need Soothe even, and stuff like Vortex, Mastery, like stuff like that you never really need as like a mandatory thing. So I think when you create a Druid tree or like a class tree, it will be very, very like different for each boss. But I guess when you pick a tree for raiding, you just go with all of the damage talents by default, and you go with Innervate by default, and that's kind of it, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And then, yeah, also, like, the addition of Nature's Vigil is, like, super cool, too. And it's, like...
That was a broken button, by the way.
Love.
Yeah,
that ability has always been a fun one.
Okay, so it's, like, immediately obvious when building this tree that you're grabbing Moonkin form, you're grabbing the increased healing and magic damage. But to continue down this path into, like, more of the Moonkin-centered tree, you have to immediately choose kind of what side benefit you want. That's either... Right, you can go, I think you need 6 points, or sorry, you need 4 points to go on. That could be Rejuve or Frenzied Regen, and then improved Bark Skin, and then improved Frenzied Regen, right?
I mean, this decision that you have to kind of make right here is like very similar right now. It's like deciding between Resto Affinity and Guardian Affinity, essentially. You know, if you want to, because it's basically what you have to do, obviously, since you don't have enough points.
Except, like, the only difference is that, like, right now, if you go with Resto Affinity, you have Ysera's Gift by default, which is like a passive healing thing, right? Which, if you go with the rest abilities here, you only have active abilities. While if you go with the Guardian ones, you have a 6% DR with the Thick Hide talent.
So Ysera's Gift actually here? I don't think it is, right?
No, it's not.
No, I think she's talking about how they...
But
yeah, she's talking about how they currently are on live, but yeah. A lot of that baseline stuff is removed.
Well, I'm saying, like, because I was thinking, like, you can make a build where you have your more tanky talents, which are just more on the left side, versus going down the Resto line where you can, I mean, if you're thinking about things like taking Heart of the Wilds all the way at the bottom, you're going to probably want to have Wild Growth, which unfortunately I think the only way you can get that is going down from that Resto tree, and because Wild Growth, Heart of the Wilds, like pretty much that's how you get, like, you get Rejuve too, and Swift Mend. Those are important spells for dealing with that.
So let's leave improved Bark Skin by now, and let's just continue on with it and just do a off-healing version of Moonkin as the...
Do you think that would be the default, though? Because I would think it's not the off-healing one,
You know
right?
what's funny?
Yeah,
I think we have enough room for both. I think we have enough room for both right here.
Okay, so let's just...
I think we would go
let's
just
here's
Jill and, like, Guardian, right?
Sure, but let's just...
let's
just start for now with off-healing, and then we will build the whole tree and then talk about where it differs to do other things, and then see
Yeah.
how much room we have for other stuff. So if you're taking the heal thing, then you want it to be like Swift Mend, remove corruption just to continue down the tree, right? And then now you need one more point to continue onwards, and I'm assuming that's...
I don't think you would go remove corruption, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Oh, do you not need
You don't
that
need
to get
that.
to Wild
That's
Growth?
ve-
You have to have that to get to wild growth.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Okay.
So bark skin's I think 8 seconds default. So I think you want the improved bark skin at least at two points. Oh, we have a ton of points by the way. We have a ton of
Okay,
additional
sure.
points.
So yeah, let's just get to the bottom and then we'll play around with them. So
Yeah,
after
yeah.
this, I'm assuming if you're going to Wild Growth, we grab that. You're grabbing Astral Influence,
Every time, yep.
Yeah.
grabbing Sunfire, grabbing Improved Sunfire, I imagine for almost all content, but there is a world.
Yeah, it's an AoE one, but yeah, if it's a pure single, you don't need it.
Yeah, but anytime there is a second target, probably pure
Yeah,
single
it's
fights in
pretty good.
WoW probably occur like less than 10% of anything you do.
There's
so-
also just it's a damage talent. There's very rare of them, so if there's any sort of game from it, you can take it. as much.
Okay, and then I'm imagining you're going Soothe into Stampeding just to fill that out, and then we need 2 more points to get to the bottom of the
You need
tree.
wild charge too. It's kind of
Your wild
predatory.
charge, yeah.
And then we need 1 point to kind of go. Like, if you guys didn't want to start with just a quick little Frenzied Regen grab and the improved, it could be a Typhoon on a boss, it could be a Cyclone, so you don't actually necessarily have to go down this route yet to unlock the bottom. Is there any other obvious way?
No,
This is
it's,
the thing where I
yeah,
think
this
the
is like you
improved-
kind of just pick where you want.
I think the improved frenzy one's the best one because it gives you increased healing taken whenever you press bark skin.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's insane, yeah. So I'll just grab that as a 1 point, which is not even interacting with Frenzy Regen at all, but it also just works on the Barkskin thing. Okay, now we're at the bottom. Where are you going?
Like Hara's teaching is most likely that, and then 1 minute stampeding was kind of really good. Again, that's utility, but it's like fast.
Okay.
And then that would get you your off going there if you were to go down this the rest of the line just to do that.
Okay, and then you have a 3-second improved regen, or we can go down the route to get Innervate and Nuclear Triple. I think you're also getting that.
Always go innovate, right? For rating?
I think
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
yeah,
Except
from
like doing farm or something.
unless you hate Druids.
well, in farm they still might want you to have that, but we'll keep that open for
Yeah,
discussion.
we'll think about that.
Yeah, so all right, so now we have 3 more points available, and we are currently in the like off-healing centric version of this. So very quickly, what are the most practical decisions you make to kind of go down the off-healing Moonkin route? Is it renewal, a 1 point talent? That seems pretty value, right?
I think so. Renewal or Ursine Vigor. So it's that purple bear thing that's to the left of Lycara's. Both of those are pretty good.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
We're not picking off healing. We're picking survivability here now.
Yeah, at this point you got all like.
Well, it
most
looks
your
like you
off-going
have
stuff.
most of your off healing though, right? Like I mean, like
Yeah,
the
so
difference
now
between
you just-
even if you were off healing, improved rejuvenation for the one time you pop heart and actually legitimately heal. I don't even know what the power level is of that, right? Like,
Yeah, it's pretty minor.
and I feel like
guess.
you're also just taking frenzied regen as any spec. Like I feel like you just press this button sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So how would
So
you
this
guys
is like the
Go ahead,
advantage of the spec is like, so then in Mythic Plus, like we can tech out of the like 1 minute reduce on Stampeding Roar because we don't really need that, and you can kind of like put in Typhoon where you can put in Frenzy Regen. There's a lot of, and then you can take like 1 point out of Ursine Vigor and tech into some more, just like one point out of that probably, and then
Well-
you can tech into some more talents.
Yeah, but even then, like, let's just say right now you're not doing an off-field raid thing. That's actually more niche than
Yeah.
people realize. So like,
Yeah.
let's grab like, remove some of these points, get rid of the Curse Dispel just because you're not specifically using it. You grab
Mhm.
Frenzied Regen to keep the
if
point
you're
up
not doing-
top. Remove Swift Mend, and I think you might need. No, you don't need Rejuve either.
Oh, no,
Okay,
you're
so
all
this
that.
is no. We're not grabbing the interrupt here, but how do you now maximize with no off-healing option your survivability as a Moonkin in a raid?
So basically, you have to go straight. Again, for Stampeding Roar, you pretty much have to go Thrash, Swipe, I think Iron Fur.
And then reduce all
And,
damage.
and this is what's weird. Yeah, what's weird is I think you could also take Wild Charge and just go straight to Stampeding Roar. I don't know how it's gonna work exactly.
You get the Welcomed Instinct somehow
But-
like this.
Yeah, you'd go Thick Hide, and then obviously you grab Roar because I feel like that's just the better for it.
Is this in the game currently, or Sock's Endurance?
No.
So it's just a tuning thing we don't know yet. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean that could be relevant. Like if that's like a 10 to 20% absorb, that's not bad. Like that would definitely be.
And that'd be good.
Is
And
that
dark
right,
knight.
wasn't it?
It was an Azurite trade, yeah. It was a really good one actually. It was good.
Okay,
it was
so
a good
for tanky man druid, you now have 6 more points. I'm imagining maybe on a fight with a bunch of physical damage, maybe the armor node just for DR
Yeah, for sure.
could be good, like a sludge fist kind of encounter
Mhm.
or something like that. But let's just pretend that it's like your normal ass raid fight. You have maybe Ursoc's Endurance. You have the choice for in cap. You get well-honed instincts, but the nerfed version. I don't know if you guys would go that far.
Yeah, I think renewal is probably better in that case.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
renewal, like this is what I have right now. Like just this. That looks pretty basic, right? Then you could obviously
Yeah.
tech renewal or stampeding roar or 1 point out of Ursine vigor for roar, right?
I also don't think like Heart of the Wild is something you don't really like need, especially if you don't go off healing spells, because then it would
Yeah, if
be
you
a
don't-
defensive, but
Definitely
you don't
true.
like need it.
Yeah, where Nature's
Yeah,
Vigil's
yeah.
always good.
I think
Yeah.
Heart of the Wild gives you 2 charges of Frenzy Regen, which is okay, but that's like, again, you need damage Frenzy Regens. And
Yeah, but this is actually, I mean, like I said, I think the idea of this tree, I have no idea about the actual spec tree, but the class tree looks so well made. Because like you guys are like the whole thing where you guys were just able to make like 2 realistic things you do going down a completely different side of the tree. I want to say, top of my head, there's no other class that does that right now in their class tree. You know, you're kind of spending most of your class tree just getting things you kind of need to just play the game the same way you do now. And you're talking about the amount of points you swap being maybe 3 or 4 nodes at the bottom based on tuning or like tier bonuses or something. You guys have like, because the Druid spec tree in general is just way more focused on the actual class than like any of what the specs do, because there are so many, I think they've kind of just lucked into making that a really interesting tree. Like you'll have so many different builds of Moonkin. Like the preset save slots are gonna be fucking insane. Like you're gonna have.
I was gonna say, do you guys think that we can even get to Skull Bash? I don't even know if we can get to that talent. Because
Yeah,
it's
for
locked behind a
sure.
3-point node.
You could. You definitely. I mean, if you really needed it, I think it'd be really weird to actually like need the Moonkin to have 2 kicks.
Correct.
I think for Plus it's really easy to reach, and in a raid you never need it. Because in
Yeah, I
Plus you
mean-
just remove renewal, you remove Innervate, you remove Heart of the Wild.
Yeah, you're removing
And you
3
have it,
small
right?
things. Like I actually think that the talent to the left there, Feline Swiftness, is actually really good as well. That's
Yeah.
just passive 15% move.
Oh
speed,
yeah,
which
down
I
here.
think
That's
you would-
really good. Yeah.
I think you would want that over some survivability talents.
Potentially, definitely, yeah. And I think that's one thing that has been a little bit contested is I know when they announced these talent trees and they showed that, like, for example, the DK one has Mind Freeze on it, even though it's not really a choice, you just get it for free. Like you've seen a lot of different classes actually deal with the interrupt differently. Whereas DK came out and I'm like, okay, so they're just gonna put Mind Freeze on the class tree and it's gonna be very easy to obtain. You'll take it the entire expansion. No one will ever talent out of it. They'd be a fool to do that. And then you have Rogue, for example, which didn't even put it on the tree. Rogue just made kick baseline, so you don't even have to choose it. So like you're talking about like a major difference in philosophy with the way people do it. I think it makes complete sense that I'll actually cancel out all these points right here. I think it makes complete sense that Skull Bash is a little bit out of the way for Resto Druids and Balanced Druids. I don't think it should be something instant because you're getting something you haven't had before. And whether they did this on purpose or not, it seems like yes. I think they were brilliant in making it so basically a Feral or Guardian, get rid of all other points, right? Everything gone. Dude, Feral or Guardian is taking up to these 100% of the time. So the choices they'll have later on is if they want a 1-point Skull Bash, they can. They might even take it just for like, it's a kind of an underrated movement skill. But if there's a fight without a kick, they actually have the point of talent out of their thing to do more damage, right? Potentially, or grab something else that's more important.
Yeah, the reason
Yeah.
I like Skull Bash a lot, actually, like, as a person that does a lot of random content in the game, it definitely is nice to have it as an option, and it's not even like you have to be an unfunctional version of Moonkin to take it. You could easily take it at the cost of just some, you know, tankiness or healingness or whatever utility that you don't need in world content or just soloing content. You have an interrupt that actually isn't a curse to use. 1 minute interrupt. So there's some mobs designed in this game that just have like a cast that makes them heal for a crap ton, and they cast it every 20 seconds, and you're just like, it's just annoying because they're either sometimes immune to Typhoon or Cyclone, and you just can't do anything about it. So it's good to have it there.
Okay, so now that we have your all's baseline build, there, do you guys have any more thoughts on the class tree in general that are different from what we're saying before we move on to just the balance tree?
I did want to say that I think for raiding, no matter which spec you play, the Druid tree is like really good and really well made. But I think there is definitely a problem for Mythic Plus because you obviously require a lot more utility in Mythic Plus, and some of the positions of the utility spells are really weird. Like if you're a Feral, for example, and you want Hibernate, then you need to like go over and take Moonkin talents. Or if you want Typhoon, for example, or Cyclone even. Like there's just a lot of utility spells that are in weird positions if you do N+, right? Because right now we did a baseline tree with skipping almost all of the utility because you don't really need it in raiding, because it's very niche. but in M+, it basically means that a lot of the specs have utility taken away from them, which I guess is fine because druids were known to have like a shit ton of utility in M+, and it was really like OP. So maybe it's okay, but yeah, I think it might hurt some specs for sure.
Yeah, the thing is though, is one thing they've done well is that they've given them all as 1-point options. All the utility you want outside of Skull Bash, which we already went over how that kind of makes sense why it's a reach for Resto or Moonkin to get it, is like it's not really hidden behind a ton of stuff. Like, let's just say you spec out of Ursine Vigor and this Ursox Endurance or whatever, right? You instantly have Typhoon, Cyclone.
But that's a Moonkin, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're a feral or something, then because a lot of the utilities on the right side, you know.
Oh, they're fucked.
Cyclone, Hibernate,
Oh, are they?
Typhoon,
Okay.
Vortex is all on the right
Are
side.
they fucked though? I feel like you run into somewhat a similar.
We'll talk
situation
about
with
those
Moonkin.
specs later. This is just
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I see what you mean. But like Moonkin has the option
So
to
many
very
PODs
quickly
on
spec
YouTube
into
right
all
now.
their tech.
Yeah, Moonkin
It's
has
crazy.
a decent
Yeah,
Good job.
exactly.
way of getting most stuff.
I linked a picture of like a maybe even just like a base, like a default Mythic Plus build, and you can still just tech around.
Cyclone.
But that's a Moonkin, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're Hibernate.
Oh, we'll talk
situation
about
with
those
Moonkin.
specs later. This is just
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I see what you mean. But like Moonkin has the option
So
to
many
very
PODs
quickly
on
spec
YouTube
into
right
all
now.
their tech.
Yeah, Moonkin
It's
has
crazy.
a decent.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, cool.
Round a bunch of different points depending on what you want. You can like even take off Heart of the Wild or
What
like
are we doing
Wild
here?
Hearts or stuff like that if you don't really feel like you want it.
What the fuck is this? Dude, I
Yeah.
thought I just hacked my computer. I didn't know what the
That's
fuck that was.
I like the class tree. The class tree is really good.
Yeah, class tree is definitely nice. Moving on to the spec tree. Let's do a not mass AoE, not Council of Blood, like just like a boss that like kind of has some guys sometime. So dots are important, maybe not a heavy Starfall emphasis. So what are you guys making?
Well, clips for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Eclipse, Improve. There's like a lot of times you have to.
A lot of
take.
mandatory, so it's like Improved
Yeah.
Sunfire, Moonfire, Nature's Balance.
Yeah, that was it.
CA,
And
Starfall.
Celestial Alignment, Starfall. yeah.
Anytime there's more than one
That's
target, Starfall is picked, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it picked even in single target because it is leaving
I
something
do not think so. At least I could be wrong, but I don't think it'll be a thing. You could definitely take it, not take it. if
Okay,
it's
then
Yeah.
actually, I want to clarify this then. Let's actually do pure single, so Skull X. So you do
Alright.
not pick Starfall?
Well, unfortunately,
Wait,
they
Trace?
have improved Star Surge there as well, which is really weird. But
So you would have to take it.
Yes.
I wouldn't know how strong. I mean, yeah, kind of definitely.
This
The
isn't the...
positioning of Starfall is horrendous.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the exact kind of stuff you want to point out to them. Anytime you are taking something that we would only use in a very AoE situation to get to something for single target, that is functionally wrong. Like, that should not
Yeah.
happen. So it's a good to point that out. So let's do that for the sake of it. This is a pure single target build. We will take Starfall and then improve Star Surge. Where else are you going? Solar Beam is kind of fight dependent, but do you have to pick it on
Power
fights?
of Goldrin is you take it for power. of
Yeah, I think that's also a bad position for Solar
Absolutely.
Beam and improved Solar Beam as well.
Yep, there's a lot of things I could show you from other classes where this Solar Beam thing would be something off to the side, for example. This definitely should not be there. It could be them saying we want you to always have this and not have a choice, but I think the choice is important. So.
Yeah, Goldrin is in a bad spot relative as well because like you have to go through the Solar Beam to even get to that, which is like that is such a weird path to get
And
there.
then you take Shooting Stars and Star-Lord on the and Precise Alignment. All those are
Okay, so these are all
Mhm.
single
Plus pick.
targety, very good. None of these things are things you don't already have, right? So far you're picking things that exist.
Also,
Go ahead.
I do want to point out that obviously we don't, like, it all depends on the numbers, obviously. Like, it could also be that Star-Lord and Shooting Stars is bad, and
Yep.
other things are better. Like, it's just like a theory crafting thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I do just think that I find it hard that like 2-4% is okay technically.
Yeah, I
Or
don't
four-
know.
four- yeah,
Depends what you can get at
12%.
the bottom, then, I guess.
Yeah, I think it. But
Our capstones are kind of bad though. I don't. It's. our
Yeah,
capstones are
we'll
pretty
talk
bad.
about that, but it's also something to think about that a lot of the stuff that is guaranteed, if Blizzard's smart, what they'll do with the tier bonuses that they said they're bringing at this expansion, which means you're going to most likely have a new tier bonus every single patch, means that maybe they'll make those tier bonuses interact with a spell you don't normally take, and it's like a cool different build you take. That could also be true with like things like these. So like sometimes, especially haste and crit type things, have very different values at the beginning of expansions versus the end because of how stat starved you are at the beginning. So it's always something to think about that it might actually change over time to like a variety of different factors.
All right, so going from here, by the way, this is probably my least favorite decision part of it. And it's because you need 4 points to move on. What my thought of always doing is you basically have 1 free point to put anywhere in the talent, which I would honestly think could either be all the way back up towards Force of Nature or Wrath of Warrior Blue. Kind of one of those two, because you need 4 points, so that means you have 3 left, and then you have to choose between the worst 2 conduits I've ever seen exist in this game.
Oh,
They
Shadow
are
Priest
both-
has a worse one, but continue.
they are really bad, and I think the only reason I think that you might have to choose Stellar Inspiration, which I think is even the worst of the 2, is because I would think that Soul of Forest and Umbral Infusion, you'd probably want to grab those. But most importantly, you need Fury of the
I
Skies,
spilled.
which is- You need either one
Spill
of those.
ash.
So I don't know how you guys feel, but I think like Stellar Inspiration is the go, just to have access to Soul of Forest and Umbral
Really?
Infusion. But I don't know.
You
if
think
it
Soul
really
of the Forest is important on pure single target?
No, I
I feel
don't.
like we're in that stellar flare shitter
There's-
node.
Wait, where's Stellar Flare?
It's the pick or choose node right
Oh,
there.
right, right.
I would not even pick that, man. I just
Okay.
get Fury of the Skies and stop right there.
So,
Okay.
Oh, so yeah, Stellar Inspiration, I guess.
Yeah, you
Uh,
need one of the two. I mean,
Well, I mean,
you
if you're
could
not going
do-
Soul of the Forest for single target, then aren't you going Umbral Intensity to have the same choice node, right? Go down
I
here.
feel like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the
Yeah,
the
maybe.
cost reduction on Star Surge though is like probably, I don't know. I guess you're valuing the cost reduction on Star Surge and the increased astral power you get from Wrath versus, I mean, Stellar Flare, right? Because I assume like, I mean, tuning is like up in the air. Generally, we've never liked Circle of Life and Death as a legendary, and like Adaptive Form, Balance of All Things aren't really gonna be. I mean, Balance of All Things might be good, I guess, if you.
You guys
were
have
to get
way
Circle of Life.
more shit going on at the bottom of your tree than I think any other spec I've seen.
Yeah.
I think
There's
what's
so
hard
much
here.
stuff
I think
that
what's
you
hard
kinda
here
want.
is, yeah, what's hard here is like tuning. Our damage over time effects are generally like really weak by themselves. So that's why like I'm not a fan of going down that right side a little bit, just for those. But I mean,
So-
if they do damage, it might be good.
I agree. And this is
the other
where
thing.
exactly.
Sorry,
Go.
I'm getting
Go.
most
No,
stuff.
you go.
I just quickly wanted to talk about this like really
I-
cool
this is
talent that they
where-
added like below the
Exactly.
Starfall
No, no,
buffs,
no,
like all the
you
way on
go.
the left.
Yep.
Blessing
quickly
of
wanted to talk
Eluna
about
and
this, like,
Enchi.
really
Like this
cool
is such a cool kind of choice because you can change your eclipse to be shorter or longer depending on if it's like full AoE or full single target. But the thing is, like if you want a full single target eclipse, so your solar eclipse lasts longer,
You have to
then you
pick
have to go
Stellar
Stellar Drift and improve Starfall. Like that makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, this was the thing. Again, I mean, we very briefly looked at these. Like, I was like traveling, and these just got released. But that was like the one thing that we pointed out. But now that we have more context from other trees, it's not common, and there are some specs that do it perfectly. But it is absolutely a consistent problem in any of these trees where you have to pick something that is cool that could be used for something single target or just whatever it is, but you have to pick things that do not enable what you want on the way. And this is a 3-point commitment, which is a massive commitment. So
And that's
Because
the issue
it
with those
makes-
other 3-point nodes right there too. And that's why our capstones, it's so hard to even get to any of our capstone nodes, much less get like 2 or 3 of them at once. I know like the Resto tree, you can get like 3 capstones. The Druid one, it's like impossible to get that because you have to go through these 3-point nodes to even be able to get there.
okay, so you guys have to make a choice. You're pulling a raid boss in 10 minutes. What are you guys running?
Okay, wait. So where's the talent where you can switch out of Incarn?
It's the center one.
Yep, it's the center one.
Yeah, we don't want that almost all the time, right? Well, I guess it
I
depends on
don't
the
think so.
fight.
Also, you'd have to choose it.
Oh, it's the
You have to
Ashen
choose
Hollow
Incarn, right?
Venthyr legendary thing.
So I think it's Umbral, so I think it's the pick on the right side.
Okay.
I think it's Flare.
You need Fury
I
Skies.
think it's like Fury of the Skies and you go down the middle.
Okay, are you grabbing Incarn or Convoke?
Incarn.
It depends on what the need on the boss, but yeah, I think Incarn.
Well,
I
you
think-
know
oh,
Incarn
okay.
if you use improved incarnation, right?
Yeah, and
Because
I
the
think you
Convoke-
take Convoke if you take Balance of All Things potentially. Am I right?
But isn't shifting out of
Yeah.
Incarn thing a very fight-specific kind of thing, or is there some other way you guys are doing? Are you ending it early to have it line up with 2 minutes every time or something?
Well, so it's because Incarn's different, right? It mass applies your dots, and then I guess you have to talent all the way on the what is it, the synergy thing where it does that beam, which you would need to spend 3 points just to get that right now. Which do you even have right now?
I don't know. Wait, am I reading this right? So if you're an Incarn and you're just blasting the boss in Lust and you get targeted by something and you have to bear form, do you just lose your entire cooldown?
I think
It's like
so.
the Ashen Hollow legendary.
That's not good.
I mean, you just
Yeah, I'm
don't
not
switch
going
to
bear
their form while incarn. So.
Heal me.
Yeah. Well.
Fucking
okay.
heal me.
That kind of. Well, also the way that Ashen Hollow ever scaled with that current Venthyr legendary or that Venthyr legendary was not the way you would think it worked. It gave you less CDR than you thought. Have you like mathed out exactly what you would? Actually, no. Who knows? Whatever.
Yes.
There are no numbers, so we don't know.
There was speculation on it. It was something like if you cancel it after 8 seconds, you get like 1 full minute off. But nobody knows.
Yeah, but why the fuck would you ever Incarn for 8 seconds? You know what I mean?
Because you want to massify your dots, Max. and then you press
I'm
your
just
convoke button
saying,
and then you switch
the
these switch
scissor
out.
Is correct.
and the scissor G build, the Sizzy G build.
Okay, yeah, this is a
You
build.
just
Okay,
shoot-
so there's
yeah,
a
get that beam, you know.
yeah, that's the one right there.
Celestial alignment now blasts all target between you and the select area for astral damage and applies moonfire and stuff for them. Okay, so we're going to CG then, Solstice.
No, we're a single
That's a
target.
melee build, right?
Yeah, we're not blasting Skull X with the beam.
Single target is weird because
blast
one
him.
thing that would be interesting as well is like Moonbreaker. What is it called?
Orbit breaker. I
All
think
the
bang.
Moonbreaker all the way to the right bottom.
30th shooting star though, that's so rare. It's like you get like
Yeah,
two
okay.
moves to fight.
Incredibly rare. But depends how they tune shooting.
30
stars.
shooting stars? Like
Yeah,
how
that's
many
under.
do you even get
No,
a fight?
that can't be a capstone talent. It would have to be way less than that. But that's fine. So you guys, do you get Circle of Life and Death? Yes or no? Single target.
I think so. Yeah. If it's
you have
like a
5
single
more
target.
points to choose.
And then I mean,
The boss is being pulled any minute, guys. Which one are we picking?
Then maybe we go Convoke after all. And then we go
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Okay, yeah.
I'm curious.
Take off
I'm
the power.
Convoke
I'm
is
pretty
probably
sure-
good, right?
I'm pretty sure you take Convoke and Balance of All Things. That's like
Yeah,
what
I
you
think
do
so too.
for
Okay,
that.
so and you even have 2 more points.
You would also remove the point and improve Incarn.
Sure.
Wait, what is
Yeah.
But
improve
that's
Convoke?
increased.
Wait,
full moon
I
chance,
didn't even
right?
realize what it is.
You'd have to test
yeah,
it, but it
yeah,
could
you
make
take
if
that.
it made your
I think-
Convoke way more powerful, which seems like it's likely you
Yeah.
would do that. Okay, so where are these last 2 points going as a Moonkin single target? The
2
raid leader
points?
just hit a ready check.
I think during the first solstice, right? You just put that
Yes.
there.
Yes. There.
Okay, so that is
Wait,
single.
I
So
think Force of Nature is more valuable than 1 point.
Oh,
in
did we not
Solstice,
already
right?
take that? Oh, well, that's the choice between Warrior. Oh, yeah.
I
guess.
picked
I don't have
both.
vibes
Just
for
take
this.
both.
I don't have enough vibes for this.
Yeah,
I
I know.
find.
So here's the thing. I can't tell if the reason why it took you guys so long to commit to a single target tree is because you have a bunch of cool, interesting decisions, or if you are picking which bad decision you don't want to take.
It's because our AOE tree is more defined, and our single target tree nobody knows without the numbers, and so you're just like, well,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
could
it's the number.
go
Okay.
big shit.
All right, cool. So this
Yeah.
is baseline this. Okay, so you guys just killed the boss that the ready check was for, and you killed it with this, and then you pull up and you are doing prototype Pantheon. What are you changing? I'll actually go ahead and just stop at where is this already all?
Pretty much everything. Well,
Do I have to kick
Definitely the whole bottom
do I have
would
to
be
kick the
clear.
I
prototype
don't think we
of
go
war?
with Galdrin, right? So we remove
yeah,
Solar Beam.
do you have to kill.
Remove solar beam. All right, it's getting spicy.
Yes.
All right.
Max, do I have to kick war? You have to tell me right now. Do I need to kick him?
You do not need to kick war as a Moonkin on this fight.
Excellent, great
No.
news.
Good.
And we go improved Starfall plus
Alright,
Stellar
yeah,
Drift,
so it's very obvious you
Plus
you have
stellar
to-
drift. Okay.
Plus ratio.
plus
Yeah.
Blessing of Elune.
Oh
I
no no
guess.
you go to the right. You go to the right. You go to the right stuff. It's,
No,
it's
why?
it's
Wait.
precise
No.
alignment,
Listen to
orbital
me.
breaker.
Blessing of Elune is 100% the thing to do, right?
It's not twin moons, really?
No, just the blessing, right? It's 1 point.
Okay, but we also gotta value how much damage.
Chat, these
does.
fucking Moonskins, man.
Yeah, I mean we can still
None
get
of my
there.
shows
We
have
just
gone
put
like
1
this.
point into
It's
having a
really gotta
longer
blast.
lunar eclipse.
Okay, so put 3 points in the Umbral Intensity thing. It's the thing that's off Starlord. It's to the right. It's the 3-point node.
Yeah, sorry. Which one? The
That's the one. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one.
yeah. 3 points, or
put-
you only need 2 to go to the bottom. Do you want all 3?
3. Put 3 in there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then put 1 point in Twin Moons. I'm pretty sure we have to have it for Prototype Pantheon.
Okay, but I think
Okay.
we also have to have Solar Forest
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
and that Umbral. I mean, yeah, you kind of do need twin.
I don't think Umbral Infusion is good because Starfall Reduction is not actually good, and you don't need right.
Well,
Like,
okay,
on
if it's-
AoE,
alright,
I
so if it's
think,
prototype Pantheon, we're talking like 2 targets with a bunch of realtors like around the
Yeah.
room, and then
I'm going Pulsar Orbit Breaker every single time from here, but so I'm going like all the way down to the right.
Orbit
Pulsar-
breaker for what?
You're taking Orbit Breaker?
Yeah, because we
Really
have
horrible.
so we have 4 targets up, right? And so we're gonna have everything multi-dotted the whole entire time. And so our orbit, or it's 2 targets, and then like there's a bunch of ads and shit. But like you're going to proc a
There's a
decent
diminishing
number.
return.
You've now been invited to the raid.
Select the Orbit Breaker. Click it. We have
Blessing
some.
of no.
I'm also
What
up
are you
in
gonna
arms
do with
here.
the astral power then?
All right, so Sang,
Circle's already up. What do you do?
Star Surge again, like I always do. This is why I fucking hate our AoE right
Like
now.
this is yeah okay. So it's, I'm gonna assume that in tuning's done that our dots do more damage. I mean I really do think that you're taking Circle of Life or Death
Yeah, I think so. So.
and well adapt is one part now. You kind of have to do that because I feel like otherwise it's just weird to think of.
do you grab Solstice?
I think so because again I don't know how CZG would be, how good it is. If it does a lot, I mean, and if it's a beam and the last phase, like you would be beaming 4 bosses and 2 ritualists at least, right? That's like the best of you.
I think maybe we
One-time
switch instead
use.
of prototype Pantheon, we go for like a full AoE thing. Because I
Sure,
think having prototype Pantheon is like much more difficult.
Well, think like last
to
phase
know.
of Prototype Pantheon, though. You're like AoEing
Yeah, let's
4
do 4
targets.
targets.
And
AoE,
last
yeah.
phase, and that's why I think Soul of Forest is good for.
Yeah,
last
if it's 4
phase.
target AoE, let's just do full AoE. Then we definitely go Soul to Forest, right?
Okay, so you're
boss-
grabbing
I guess
3
you-
things in Stellar Inspiration. Dude, okay, this is one thing that needed to... We've talked about this before, but just to bring it up again. The 3 points into, like, Umbral Intensity and Stellar Inspiration
Yes.
to go down these
Yeah,
trees
yeah,
feels
it's the
really,
worst.
really
It's
restrictive.
the worst. And
Yes.
those 3 talent points feel useless because they're just
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, I don't know where they would move that around, but that definitely doesn't seem good.
And the
Oh.
1 point nodes beneath them are massive as part of it too. We're just like, okay.
Okay, so Soul of the Forest, you grab Umbral Infusion.
I'm down.
Arguably, would you get rid of Warrior Balloon? I think you would.
If it's 4 targets, I don't think so. I also don't think you go Umbral
Check it,
Infusion.
So stressed for points.
Okay, no Umbral... What
I think
about
we go
Blessing of
Balloon for
Elune?
sure.
Yeah,
Blessing of
you-
Elune?
You definitely don't need Umbral Infusion for sure. If your Stellar Drift just makes Umbral Infusion not work. It's great.
Okay, and then what about Oneth's Clear Vision and Time Worn Dreambinder?
Nah, we don't need that.
Okay,
We don't need capstone traits, Max. I'm
You guys, yeah, that's really bad. Generally speaking, on all of these, like, how these talent trees should work is you should see, like, buttons down here that are, like, insane. You're like,
Yeah.
I have to get that button. Like, they have to be so powerful, so committing to get them makes sense. There's a bunch of examples of this with, like, I'll give you just one hunter example of how they have done this poorly. So a BM Hunter, they have like these 2 insane nodes down here, Rylax and Bloody Frenzy, and then these only cost from here 1, 2, 3, and then it's 4 points total to get. This one, once you go below this line, costs 3 points to get, and this one costs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get, and it's the worst one of the 3, right? Like anything like that where you have to commit that much to get it has to be insanely fucking good, right? Like you can never have something that's bad be behind that many points that you have to commit to. It's all about, it should basically, the power of the thing should make sense for how many things you have to commit to get to it.
And our capstone traits, the only ones that are like good on AoE is Fury of Balloon and Orbit Breaker, and neither of those are like insane or anything. So you're just sitting there like, okay, what the hell?
All
am I
right, we have
supposed
to end
do
this
with
soon because Monday Night Squad needs Sang. So to tie this up, you guys have 2 more
We go
points for AoE.
Solstice? I think Solstice. Only 2?
Yeah, only 2
then
points.
We need 1 more because we need Pulsar, right?
Sure. So you can take
Wait, we can remove.
1 point
Blue,
somewhere in the
blessing,
tree.
the blessing is turbo
What?
bad, I'm pretty sure. I think it's fake. The
Which
thing
is,
on the far
less,
left.
which is bad?
The Blessing of
How?
Elune.
What? How's that bad?
Well, we'll run the numbers later. I'm pretty sure it's bad though.
I think it's really good.
Okay, we can
And
run
4
the-
target cleave?
Yeah, I think it'd be decent for just getting more Starfire. But again, that just determines how, like, the problem we gotta, like, keep in mind is that a major flaw of the spec is because of the existence of Stellar Drift, you essentially are pressing Starfall every so often, so, like, anything else outside of that in terms of doing AoE is only Starfire, right, and keeping up all your
Yeah.
dots. That's why I don't know if I like Pulsar, because, like, to proc Pulsar, what, you're gonna press Star Surge on a single target again is how
Yeah,
bad
you're
that
right.
is. But in order to even take that talent, then like would you not even just take Drift? Then maybe you could have Pulsar. You'd have to get rid of both. But I think a lot of the
Ready
AoE
checks
again is
out.
just doing Starfire.
I think no matter what you do, this is just like a really sad tree
Well,
to
how many
look
points
at.
do we got?
If this
How many
is
points
what
do we
it
got?
looks like, right? If you
Just
don't
2 more?
even want the talent at the bottom.
Oh, don't we need? Wait, do we have any points left? Where's our points?
The points are
We
all
have
gone.
no points left.
Wait,
No
what happened
points.
to Fury of the Skies? Wait, we need that one.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Okay, our capstone notes are dog shit. Please
4%
make them more
damage.
compelling
All
to
right,
take.
so this is it. This is the final AoE build you guys have agreed on.
We need Star Lords?
No.
I mean, I guess.
Yes, we need precise alignment, so we need Star Lord.
Pull timers out.
All right, I think we'll get out of
know,
here.
I think we got sat for something else.
Yeah, the Moonkins have been sat. All right, so one thing about your all's discourse though is it does sound like there's a lot of different things that could be good based on tuning or close to each other, because none of you, I actually be honest with you, like talking to other specs, almost everyone could uniformly just go down the tree and just be like, you know, this is kind of just what you do, right? And in a way, even though right now it's for the wrong reason, where you're, especially these two seem like the worst thing in the fact that you have to pick Solar Beam on single target to kind of go get something you need. You at least don't have something you have to do, so you might play different things throughout the expansion as you get more stats, and depending on like the nerfing and buffing of things, your playstyle might change, which is actually really good. So as much as you guys could not just finish a build, that is kind of a I think that's a good thing. But yeah, I guess it's technically finished. But yeah. Okay.
This looks really sad.
All right. Yeah. All right. So I think that's it. All right. Cool. We're gonna talk to Guardian Druids now. So you guys are all free. Thanks for coming by.
Hold on, before we go, did you know, Max, that if you use code POGMAXJune16 at checkout with HelloFresh, you can get 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts?
I did know that. I don't know if my chat knew that, but that is something you can do. All right, cool. Thanks, dude. All right, yeah, I'll see you guys later. All right, Guardians join. Yeah, so you guys are a Guardian Druid in the Druid tree. Take me down what you guys are running.
Yeah, hold on, let me link you a bunch of stuff.
Wait, what are you linking?
You prepped talent trees for this?
The whole point is to not
Guardian
prep it.
is gonna. Oh.
No, I mean prepping makes sense to be prepared, but like the idea is you're kind of what we're doing is we're going down the tree.
Wait, but
like,
didn't we prep trees in the DK one?
Yeah, I changed my mind on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because of how bad it was after you did it that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's much more easy to follow along for people in the chat who like don't play this game all the time
Okay,
to kind of see people making the choices.
For the DK one, I came unprepared. I'm like, look, I'm just gonna wing it. It's gonna be sick. We're just gonna talk about all the stuff. And then you guys linked all the goddamn talent trees. And then this time I come in and I have a
they
tree
were
prepared. And then now we're doing the opposite.
Yeah, you were okay. You get extra credit though. I acknowledge that you did it. That
Okay,
was really
thank you.
cool. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing as the first decision you're making as a Guardian Druid?
So I think the
One.
TLDR from the Druid tree is there's a lot of like kind of mandatory stuff for Guardian, right? Like it's hard to imagine ever not coming down and getting like the thick
Yeah, there's gonna be a
hide
base
and
mod for
the
sure,
iron
Dude,
fur,
that's so interesting because I feel like Moonkin was not that. Like I feel like Moonkin spent like legit like 20 points on Moonkin stuff, and then they just could get whatever the fuck they wanted throughout the whole tree.
No,
Is that-
I think that's Guardian too. That's exactly Guardian right now. So the way
Okay.
Guardian I see right now is you just go down all the Guardian stuff, right? And then you choose between Boomkin stuff or a little bit more Resto stuff.
So like right now I'm describing the
That's a
things
flip
I
side.
think are very obvious. So Skull Bash is an interesting point. We'll come back to that later, where it does give you an option to not run it on a fight and grab an extra point, but we'll see where that point actually lands later, because I think for people who've played in main Guardian Druid, Skull Bash is also a very like underrated movement skill. Like you kind of use Skull Bash a lot just for like a gap closer, I think.
Yeah, I do think you're taking wild charge before it if you don't need the
take
if you
both,
don't
I
need the
think.
stun or if you don't
Yeah.
need the interrupt. But yeah, you probably do take both. A lot of fights.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, where are we going from here?
Soothe, Roar, all that stuff. Get renewal.
Can't
Yeah,
even
we
go
can't
down
go
yet.
down just yet. How many are we at here?
We are at 15. We need 5 more points to even go to the bottom of the
Yeah,
tree.
so
Yes.
options here include going
Mo-
to get Moonkin form over on the side. Yeah, you could go with the movement speed. You could take the cat form abilities.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like
it just depends on which side you want to go. I think the cat side is useless, though. So I think you either go Resto or Boomkin. That's how
You
I
think
see it.
you think you don't grab 15% movement speed flat? That's kind of
No.
nuts.
It depends on the fight as well, because the passive below that as well, keeping your speed out of travel and cat form, like that was really good on like Painsmith. You could travel form and then keep your movement speed and bear for a little bit. So niche there, but it does depend on the fight if you need movement speed or not, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, part of it's also because like I can't imagine using the rest of the stuff there. Like you have to commit a lot of points to get those.
Similarly though, like if you look, we've got these 2 circles, these passive ones. You've got the increased healing and magic damage done, and then there's increased healing and healing taken that are both available if you come down the resto side, right? If you take those first 3 resto points. it opens up these 2 passives, and that's
Okay.
like not that one, the one over to the left, the little Cenarian Ward icon.
Straight down from.
Oh, this
yeah,
thing.
this
All
thing.
healing done and healing
Resto.
taken. I
Yeah,
see.
so like that's pretty compelling for defensive benefit, but we're talking about a large investment of points to get both of these passives.
Massive.
In,
Yeah.
in stuff like remove corruption and swift mend. That
Yeah, you're investing 6 points, 5 points.
Well, you do get the
6
other passive as well if you want the increased healing done and magic damage done. The one between Resto and Moonkin.
Yeah, healing and magic. Oh, you would just take that for damage. Yeah, it's a 3-point node though. We'll come back to that. We have it unlocked at the bottom right now just with the healing taken, so we'll leave that for now. But note for everyone else, for reference, you can get Moonkin form increased like speed. You can grab Hibernate. You could grab Tireless Pursuit, Feline Swiftness with the exact points that we did grab the healing increase. So you're basically going right down the mid for the verse. Renewal for sure. I think improved Stampeding Roar is absolutely based on how many druids you have in your raid, how many roars are needed
Yeah,
in the
that's
fight.
definitely optional.
Definitely optionally. And then do you think you do Heart of the Wild for... It kind of depends.
No, just so the only way I can see Heart of the Wild is if you're doing some healing crap. Like, say you're doing a bunch of the Resto stuff. That way you can just go like, because you can actually heal a crap ton.
Yeah,
if
you would just need
Heart
to
of the
take Wild Growth, and then you take Wild Growth, Heart of the Wild,
Yeah.
right? And then like
Okay, so-
that's something I would do on some raid encounters for sure.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
actually
it's
really
like a
good.
choice
That
mode.
means
Yeah,
from
you
like
can do
this
some of the cool things.
baseline with 7 points left, you have a 2-point tech option into like basically a full healing situation. which
Yeah,
is
again,
really
you
good.
could also cut all of the Resto stuff as well that we talked about earlier. Those
Yep,
6
for
points
movement
and
speed,
move them
shit
around.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you guys doing
Yeah.
with 6 more points?
This is like completely optional from here on. Oh, actually no, you need well-honed instincts. I think that's too good to give up.
Yeah, the
It's
conduit.
under
Also,
lore. Yep.
this is kind of interesting. You could
Yeah.
shift out of bear form and then into it for a tank buster and get 30%
No,
health and
no,
armor.
no, because if you do that, you lose your furs. That's completely useless.
Yeah,
It's a trap. It's
It
for
depends.
others.
Yeah, I used that on Painsmith, like the conduit for that, and liked it there. I didn't use it anywhere else, so I assume I would maybe tech into it for 1 out of 10 fights or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it seems really niche or bad. Cool. All right, so now you guys have 4 more points. You do have the 90-second well-honed instincts. Where are you putting these? Are they pure option? I mean, just looking off the top of my screen, you could just straight up go down and get Nature's Vigil, for example.
I think you can go that or the move speed, or longer attack range. It's like either one
Yeah,
of those three probably.
could grab Moonkin form and Sunfire as well. Depends on what we want to be doing when we're out of form. You could take that passive that just gives us healing done and magic damage done.
Let's think of you doing
Imagine
a raid
air tank
encounter.
with Innervate though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was about
Interfate
to
is
say,
nice.
Air with
I've-
Innervate, that sounds sick.
And then it's just a 1-point tech for Nature's Vigil over anything else on the tree.
Yeah, Vigil's not going to do too much for us, but
Yeah.
it's definitely better than
Yeah.
not like that. For 1 point, I'm here for it for sure.
Definitely, yeah. So you have like Innervate and a raid.
So like you can even go into Hard Wild for fights like Kael'thas in Castle Nafria, where you just like do crazy amount of off healing.
I think
or you can
Kael'thas-
spec into move speed.
Kael'thas is the fight that has been the most focused on. In fact, Guardian Druid of any of the Druid specs was actually the most broken for that encounter. Because their heart is just way stronger. This is more useful in other fights than that, though. There's absolutely a point where having any Druid spec, especially Guardians, which I mentioned is stronger, on like a fight, like let's just say like there's like some end boss where like you're just getting fucking owned with damage. Like having a Guardian Druid heal even for just like 10 to 15 second spurts once in an entire phase can actually make you not even need an extra heal.
Yeah, like you can straight up heal as much as healers in cooldown.
I played this on progression on Sylvanas, and it was definitely like it was good.
Like
Maybe it
heart
wasn't as
healing?
good as doing as much damage as the other things, but yeah, I was going for heart. I was playing heart healing like when you're running on the bridge after the.
Oh my god, just
after
spamming
you
rejuves is
sill-
so
yeah,
insane.
you're literally just spamming rejuves and you're running, and then you can even throw out a convoke.
And yeah, and you can
Yeah.
use Mecha to convoke later. That's what I was referring up
Yeah.
to.
So it's definitely powerful, but I don't think this tree is by any means like cookie cutter. I think you could change 10 points in here pretty freely.
And especially
to-
for M+, I think like you wouldn't even play any of these, but
right.
this is like it's so situational. I think this tree absolutely
So
owns.
yeah, so two specs in, the Druid class tree might be the singular best class tree. And I think it's for a totally different reason, because and this may show itself in tuning, you guys are getting so much less of your damage in your class tree than any other class by far. Like the other class trees are like almost exclusively throughput. And,
Yeah, like
and
DK had that issue.
Exactly, where you guys are like kind of just picking between what's cool. I think it's the only reason it is that way is, they have to just fit a 31 point spent thing that makes sense on a class where it's class fantasy is swapping forms and doing different things, but there's also just 4 specs and 4 roles. So there just has to be all this shit here. I think this is masterfully done. Like this is insane. I'm interested to see if the spec tree is as good. So with that being said, do you guys have any thoughts on the class tree at all?
There's only one issue I have. It's getting remove corruption, what the hell it's called, it's a little bit awkward trying to get that if you're trying to go more of the boomkin side. So like one thing that's really good in M+ is going down the boomkin side and getting astral influence and typhoon, because like those two abilities are like, yeah, those are like really quintessential to being a bear tank. Having typhoon and having the extended thrash range and attack range.
And you could easily,
go down that side,
easily do that by just removing Innervate, Versal's Wild Growth.
But the problem is you have to also remove curse thingy, whatever the hell.
Might not. I don't have.
Well, in M+ you're gonna want renewal too. That's why.
Yeah. This is without heart. With renewal, you have 3 more points to spend.
And you still need roar and.
Oh, I don't have reduced roar. Do you think you need reduced roar in Mythic
No,
Plus?
not in M+.
I like reduced roar a lot in M+. Your movement is really tied behind roar, since you can't really use Tiger Dash, or you can't really use all these other little things to move around. Like as a bear, a lot of times you just waddle around. It's not like it is.
Yeah.
No,
definitely true.
3 points. Like we want incapacitating roar for M+, right? Like we gotta.
You definitely want to roar. And you need well-honed instincts.
Yeah.
Well, you can just take 1 point in well-honed.
Yeah,
1 point well honed, and then you have a single point at this point to put into healing taken increased by 3, magic damage increased by 2, teching into literally just an extra well honed instinct or shorter roar, which it sounds like Dorky like shorter roar. So
yeah, and I like that, and then hibernate in dungeons where you need it instead.
Yep. That looks good. All right, cool. So moving on to the spec tree. Let's start with a more raid focus and then alter it into a Mythic Plus one.
So the way you see raid focus is you're probably gonna get all the mall stuff. It's actually gonna be really sick. Because like you can actually get all the mall stuff while getting Convoke and the Moonfire stuff. The Moonfire stuff would be really interesting for Bear in this incoming expansion. Like that's something that's been forgotten since Legion, but Moonfire is actually gonna be important once again.
So you're grabbing Survival Instincts. You grab Gore. Where are we going after that?
Pretty
Survival
heavy
Instincts,
into
2 charges certainly. Mangle, 20% damage increase, no brainer. Improved bear form, 20% stamina, easy. Wow, there's just so much. And then what about, this is where we get into this. What do you guys think about Brambles or Bristling Fur?
Bristling usually for big hit stuff.
Do you think you actually talented though? Do you have to talent?
Yep.
Okay, so we are going, so far you pick everything at the top.
Yeah, we're using a lot of points up here, which I think I do this as well when I'm building mine, so.
Okay, cool. So let's look at that. So you're going Berserk, right?
Yep.
Barks get an Iron Fur by 1 second.
I don't know. That's optional for now.
We can maybe save that point for now. Yeah.
We'll save it for later.
What about Gory Fur?
Yeah.
Oh, Tooth and Claw definitely if you're going Maul build,
Tooth
right?
and Claw, yeah, 100%. Yeah, Tooth and Claw.
Maul here.
Yeah.
30% chance to crit. What about Layered Mane? It's a 1 point for a 5% chance.
So the layered main talent, it's not particularly good. The reinforced fur below it is better, but I think we could shave these points. I don't know what you think, Dorky.
It'd basically be 3 points for reinforced fur. For M+, I would say 100%, but right now I'd probably just hold off on that.
Okay, and then we have the choice to kind of go Berserk Unchecked Aggression or Front of the Pack. We can come back to the Moonfire stuff later.
I think we go for a Vicious Cycle too. That one would be really good for
that's the
rate damage.
Oh, let's see. Mangle increases damage your next Maul, and Maul increases. Oh, that's no brainer. Yeah. Okay, and then down here, Front of the Pack or Berserk.
Yeah, I'll go down. Well, I will go down the Moonfire stuff first.
Okay,
here.
sure. So let's go
this way
Moonfire. Reduce damage to yourself. Moonfire does damage, hits another enemy. Galactic Guardian, Fury of Nature, 20% dam, sure. And then Illune's Favored, 30. Oh yeah.
Illune's Favored. Circle 100% and Convoke.
Obviously, this is gonna have to show, like, tuning is gonna have to show you how good this is. But for Moonkins, they seem to think that, like, if you're running Convoke, it's probably gonna be really strong. So,
yeah, I'm not sure how that'll end up. But
yeah, for Bear, if it's just making us cast an extra Pulverize or something, it's maybe a little bit less cool than if it's dropping a Moon on them. But it definitely.
And
we'll
now,
just see how it plays.
And now we have all the Moonkin stuff, and we have 7 points to decide whether we want to go down and grab Rage of the Sleeper, the old, very well-liked artifact ability from Legion. Is it in its exact form? It looks like it's not giving you the leech it did.
Yeah, it's missing extra damage too. It used to increase your damage like straight up.
So it's the heavily nerfed version of Rage. Or no, it's the Rage of the Sleeper before the Azurite, or before
before the trait.
The artifact weapon trait.
Yeah, I think we're at least coming down this tree a little bit, because I think we want that Berserk Unchecked Aggression. That's going to be big damn.
Yeah, I noticed these all stack, right? So, like, every Berserk thing you get stacks with your other Berserks.
Yeah, so they all happen when you press Berserk. You get all
so
here.
increasing haste and reducing the rage cost of Maul. Cool.
I think that's like Guardian of Balloon is a nice little passive effect that you
Yeah,
can
I
get,
think
but
so too.
Wait, what is this other one? Every time you spend 200 rage, you
That
heal
one's a
allies
newish one.
for 3% of your max health. That sounds ass, but it's like, it sounds like if they were to move numbers on that in either direction even a little bit, it could become really fucking broken.
Well, so it says nearby allies. Does that mean
yeah,
like
if
your
that's
entire
20
raid,
people,
not your
then we
party?
could be talking here.
Well,
it might
it,
count,
it,
but
it
you-
is it most likely is 20 people, but how often do you think you spend 200 rage?
Probably
that
once
depends
every
if you're
25
doing-
seconds, maybe once every 30 seconds.
So
It
two,
depends
so
if you're in like incarnate or not.
Let me go look
So-
at some logs.
sure, but like so every two, so like 2 or 3 times a minute at most, you are healing the raid for 3% of your health, which you have like double the health of them, right? So it's like 6% raid health. Like on like a fight that like had very little overhealing, like a bunch of dot ticks the entire fight, like that could probably do good on HPS, but I don't know how much it would actually matter. That's another thing, because it's random and it's not higher than that. It would almost be more interesting.
It's sort of like
maybe-
Judgment of Light, basically, for prop paladins. And
Well, Judgment of Light was very fucking broken.
Yeah, this seems like I'm just looking at some logs. It looks like you probably are even spending only like 300 rage a minute or something on a lot of fights. So yeah, this is probably not
Well,
particularly
but
impressive.
keep in
then.
mind, it's 3% of your max HP. to
Yeah, yeah. So
everyone.
I was just gonna say it's like 6% rate health. I'm just gonna imagine you have double. Let's just do Guardian Balloon for now. But that is something to think about. I do like adding stuff like that. I think that is very cool.
Yeah, it just depends on the tuning and depends on like what the numbers
Yeah.
look like in the end.
We gotta grab Soul the Forest down just below that to the left. The
Oh yeah.
mangle rage and damage for sure.
So now we're sitting at a 1-point option for both Survival of the Fittest. Survival of the Fittest, at least when I main Guardian for a very long time, but not in a long time. That was very fight specific on whether you actually needed survival instincts to live like massive hits. But I imagine that isn't something you always take, but it kind of depends on how strong the rest of the tree is.
Yeah, it's one of those just raid tank things where it's like, do you just go for more damage? Do you go for more survival? Do you need another cooldown? It just depends.
Yeah, how many points are we sitting on with this tree right now?
You have 4 more points in this tree.
So there's that Berserk defensive mode that we could take. That's obviously like, do you need Berserk to be helping you survive the
Wow,
or not?
that's kind of insane though. Reducing the cooldown on frenzy regen by 100%, so you can just spam frenzied regen.
Yeah, it turns into
well,
like
the thing is,
so that's already in now. It's like it turns it from 14 to 7-second cooldown, but
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
nice.
'cause, like, the big thing is you're already really strong in Berserk, so it's
Right.
like you don't necessarily need it, but it is very nice for sure
Yeah.
yeah,
if you need it.
I think that in a lot of raid encounters, you're probably interested in front of the pack, the passive in the middle of the 7th row there, the Stampeding Roar one, just
Oh, here we
up
go.
in the middle. Yeah,
Increasing
this
movement
thing.
speed by 5% and the duration and radius.
I don't know if you would want to spend points in that though. That's like
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the raid setting, right? Like, I mean, duration on
Yeah,
Stampeding
yeah.
Roar is potent.
It looks like increases your movement speed is also just static, right? Like all the time.
Yeah, that's passive, I think.
that definitely makes that node feel better than if it was just for the raid for sure. So I mean, you have 4 points. You have the option to get defensive berserk, either Ursox Fury, Jumisonarius, Pulverize, and then Rend and Tear, or you can get reinvigoration. Sounds bad. So yeah.
and there's also above that is Earth Warden. Earth Warden is very big.
Oh yeah, you can
Good
spend
jailer.
Yeah.
you can spend 4 points for innate resolve, just healing a friend's regen on you. A 20% chance of the is it a current or old thrash thing where it would just duplicate or had a chance?
There's a legendary that does that right now, the Ursox Fury.
This one's a little bit better than that. Defect 2.2.
Yeah, because that one's 15.
But the big thing is Earth Warden. That's the real juicer right there.
Okay, so you guys have to make a choice though. The raid leader just put a ready checkout.
I think it just depends on the fight too much.
Yeah,
I
if we're
would
talking about
personally just
Jailer,
go for more
I'm definitely
damage.
here for Earth Warden.
Yeah.
There's not really any more damage we can get, right? I mean, I guess there's.
There's like small ones.
Ursox. Yeah.
Yeah, like Ursox Fury and
Yeah, Pulverize. Okay, Pulverize would do some damage. But I think Earth Warden is a really good effect for a lot of raid fights. I think that I would
Yeah.
default to that. Most bosses have pretty slow swing timers.
yeah.
Is
or you can
Pulverize-
even go into Rage or Sleeper too.
Rage of the Sleeper is a 1.25%
Ooh.
DR. Like that's definitely
want
not
that.
bad. What's the cooldown of Rage of the
Yes.
Sleeper? I forget. 1.5?
Minute and a half, yeah.
It's pretty good. But
Yeah.
also
I mean, there are honestly so many good things.
can
here.
you keep up
You could also-
Pulverize like 100% of the time on one target?
No.
It's
No,
kind of
it's got a cooldown, right? It's like
It's-
30-second
It's
cooldown.
like
Oh, is it
20
a
to 30
30
seconds.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, I haven't
Just a
played.
really
I haven't
fast
played in a
DR.
long time, but I just remember that Pulverize was really cringe to play, but very powerful defensively. Okay, so all right, so you do have options. So yes, we have Earth Warden, but you have the option to tech out of that into defensive Enrage, Ursox Fury, Pulverize, and Rend and Tear. or grab any singular point in Rage of the Sleeper, or if for whatever reason they are buffed or changed, or if you want to grab Reinforced Fur as well. Okay, so how are you transitioning this into a Mythic plus Bear build? What are you doing?
Ooh, okay, so hold on, let me give you a little history first. So traditionally, Bear has always been, oh, at least for this expansion and last expansion, Bear is basically, you're an absolute god when you're in Incarnation. I mean, that's why our team name is called Incarnation. Like, literally everything revolves around Incarn. Outside of Incarn, you're literally worthless. You have no damage, you can't survive, you struggle with aggro, and you're a 2-button spec. But, like, with this, you can spec into whatever makes us really sick right now with Incarn, which means you get all of UFR stuff. UFR meaning Ursox Fury, Positive Outlook, and that's like really easy to spec into. That's like all the stuff on the left side. So like, you know, you can just switch out all the Maul stuff. Like, you want to get rid of all the Maul stuff. Maul stuff is useless. I hate Maul. I wish they would just delete that ability from the game.
Yeah,
like,
one thing that's definitely
Maul.
weird with Bear is I used to want them to add a lot more complexity to Bear, but then I think the way they view this spec is like the intro tank class, and I don't think they'll ever move from that. And I think there's a reason why.
Tank.
Yeah, it's you know, you can kind of just like, it's very easy to generate and spend. It's not like shield block where it's very important when you use your shield block. It's like you can kind of just fucking spam Iron Fur and it's good. And you know, it's just like a lot easier for a new player to grasp as long as they don't like go out of form, right? Where it also has like the increased complexity in like raid content for like basically forever. It's been like slightly worth it, or at certain times very worth it, to like cat weave or moonkin weave or whatever to do extra damage, and that gives you like kind of the complexity for like more advanced players to do it. So I've always liked the way they've handled Bear. So where are you going? So I Ice dropped. Maul still have all Galactic Guardian stuff, have Gory Fur and improved Mangle, but then other than that, we're good to go down the left.
Yeah, so you're gonna want to go down to Ursox Fury and Untamed Savagery. So like the stuff that is pretty deep into the left.
Are you going Pulverize? I guess?
Pulverize, yeah.
Pulverize and then
kind of sucks.
Untamed Savagery.
Yeah, so like right here, you just have a crap ton of thrashing. Your thrashes are really strong. You're gonna be able to get a lot of absorb from Ursox Fury, and you're gonna want Incarn too. Incarn is like a staple. And
you have 5 points left.
Let's get that Elun's favorite point. Yeah.
4 points.
Well, let's see what we can do on the right. Like I would probably just take out extra stack of Survival Instincts, to be honest. Like I don't think you need an extra charge of SI.
Okay, and then you need another point up here to enter the bottom.
Yeah, and then you would go into Layered Main for sure. Like all, like hard right, yeah, basically hard right, and you can get Rage of the Sleeper. That's like the really sick thing.
I don't know if you can get Rage with. You might have linked me one where you can, but I don't. Do you have enough points? Oh yeah, you do. You do.
Let me see what else you have to drop.
No,
you have
no,
to drop
you,
Earth Ward.
No, we have it. We have it. We're good. So Guardian of the Loon and After the Wildfire.
Yeah, Guardian of the Loon. After Wildfire probably doesn't sound too great.
And then Soul of Forest.
Blood
or
Frenzy.
Blood Frenzy. Yep. Oh, this is a very different build for Mythic Plus. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want to be very thrash heavy. Like you see how you're getting Blood Frenzy for more thrashing stuff. You have
Oh shit! I dropped Incarn to get this. Getting rid of Blood Frenzy for a second, grabbing Incarn. Now we have 30 out of 30 points, and we are 2 from Rage of the Sleeper.
Yeah. So this is the dropping Earth Warden if you want it.
Earth Warden.
You don't really want to drop Positive Outlook.
Galactic Guardian too. You don't necessarily need Galactic Guardian.
Yeah, I mean, it's for 1 point. That's good. That is going to be a lot of damage in M+ even as well.
So yeah, basically what I have right now is if you take out Galactic Guardian and take out
I took out Earth
Elun's
Warden.
Favored.
Oh, take out Elun's Favored. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, like that just gives you flexibility. I feel like it's between these now. It's Earth Warden,
Elun's Favored,
Galactic Guardian, Elun's Favored. Yeah. Or Survival Instincts if you really need, or Survival of the Fittest. I mean. So I mean, like this point right here is super flexible. I think it just depends. Like if you want a little bit more DR, you can get Earth Warden. If you want more damage and throughput, I feel like Elun's Favorite is probably the best. Because like with all these Moonfire stuff, I can see Moonfire being like 30% of your overall damage, right?
I don't think we can drop Galactic Guardian if we're like. I think we want Galactic Guardian and Elun's Favorite, but it is hard to fit those both in.
But it's so hard, yeah. Because like you really want Rage of the Sleeper too. So basically, I mean, this gives you Incarn, Rage of the Sleeper, and Untamed Savagery. Like I think all 3 of those are just insane. Because like I said before, right? Like we went from Incarn being our only real major cooldown to now having passively we're stronger with Untamed Savagery, and we also have Rage of the Sleeper. That's like super fucking sick.
Dude, this looks really sick. I think this is the best.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun.
So far, this is the best Druid tree, the best spec tree that I've looked at for Druid. It seems like you have the most options, the most tech, and you are a visibly stronger version than you currently are.
Yeah, and we're just like deciding between like so many good talents. It's like, oh man, what do we get though? Like Earthborn is so good, Elun's Favored so good, Galactic Guardian's so good.
And in reality, there's going to be scenarios where each of those are better, right? So, very, very nice.
Yeah. Like the way I sort of see this being played in M+ is you would just group up mobs with like Moonfire, and it doesn't feel bad because you have twin Moonfires. So you just have like Moonfires spread on all the mobs. It's taking for a crap ton of damage because you have Circle and you have all those extra talents. And you have your like refrashes are way stronger too. So like you're strong outside of Incarn too. And that's really rare for bear tanks.
Yeah, you guys were so much better at Did you guys listen to the Moonkin one at all?
I try not to as much as I can.
Dude, it was like imagine like 4 giant Moonkins just trying to like fit into one door, but like they don't understand the concept of like going before or after one another, so they just like keep running. It was like that for like 30 minutes. They had no idea what to do at the bottom of the tree. Admittedly, it looked like a lot of the.
I mean, yeah. I feel like that's a good thing though.
Yeah,
Nah,
it's a good and a bad thing. It is good to have a lot of options and not be able to decide. It is bad that they weren't really choosing between what really insane thing they wanted. They were picking between what really bad thing they had to spec into to go further. So that's like big thing you want to avoid. Yeah.
What I love about the Guardian tree is there's a lot of, like, all the nodes are good. It's just like, which ones do you want for this build? We didn't even talk about like trying to make like a cat weaving or an owl weaving build as well, because there's, you would take like hybrids of these things if you wanted to do that, and that would be another cool thing to explore. That'll depend on just like how much damage do those things do versus the mall build. But yeah,
I feel like
it's
probably gonna be. It's probably going to be behind the mall build, though, generally.
I think you're probably right,
Generally
yeah.
that happens. I was a little bit hesitant on going heavy on cat.
Yeah, I think like Heart of the Wild Owl Convoke might be some activity we could get involved with as well, but yeah, I mean, it's all just, I'm going to try it all, of course, when the thing comes out.
Yeah, there's definitely a world where you're playing like a raid-focused build during this, and you're dropping a lot of the other stuff for just like Moonkin form and just blast with Heart of the Wild point. Hell yeah, dude, that's awesome. All right, I think that's about it. Do you guys have any thoughts in general on Guardian? I think this is like really, really positive, no pun intended, for the...
Positive, I get it.
This is very positive,
for
the Guardian Druid. Yeah, it's a very positive outlook for the Guardian Druid community. This is nice. This is one of the better ones. This is probably a top 5 spec that I think.
It's gonna be fun. I mean, I feel like Bear Tank should be pretty excited for this. The only thing I would really like to see more is shapeshifting, because I've always been a big fan of shapeshifting stuff in Druid. Like, I wish I could just go into like Boomkin form more and just do like Boomkin weaving, Boomkin blasting, or maybe even some like cat weaving. And instead, like like we have all this mall stuff, which is nice, but I don't like how it plays.
I got no complaints here. It seems like it's going to be a very fun tree.
Hell yeah. Right. Thanks for talking, guys. I'm gonna speak to some fucking healers now. All right, so we've done the same thing with a lot of other specs where we've like started it as a raid build and then kind of transitioned it into a Mythic Plus build and talked about the decision making that would be different after we're done with that. So let's go down the tree and kind of talk about where it would be in a raiding environment.
Okay, well, I'll start with my theory on the class tree, and then maybe JB can chime in.
Sure.
So there's 2 really valuable things for Druid. I feel like you sort of have to decide between, and it's something that you can change from dungeon to dungeon or like fight to fight. So on the left side, you can rip it all the way down to where Skull Bash is. It takes a lot of points, and you're getting a lot of things that you don't necessarily want to get. But then you have an interrupt on a Druid that's on a short cooldown, which is very, very valuable. On the other hand, you can go down the right side and the Moonkin side, getting the increased range, getting the Moonkin spells, and getting Typhoon. And I feel like for a casual raider / a situation where you don't need the kicks, you probably go down the right side for Typhoon, and then of course down the middle with the rest of stuff. And then for some situations, you go for the kick. What do you think, Jeb?
Yeah, for raiding, this shit's it's so easy.
It's so
easy. You don't care about most of the stuff on here for raiding. Like, the top half of this tree dictates a lot of how you're going to deal damage as a druid, and in raid, I think we all know Druid's not there to be doing damage, so I don't think you really care about a lot of the things that are up here in the top of that tree. And then as you get to the bottom, like Heart of the Wild for raiding, who cares? Something like Furor, I don't think you're going to care about something like that. Nature's Vigil, maybe you would. I don't actually know. Like,
it would work on rejuve healing. So like if you were in a Rejuve and Swift Mend, basically. So like, I feel like there are points in your healing rotation where, as opposed to other healers, Nature's Vigil actually could be like a decent healing cooldown, right? Just based on what you're doing. But the thing that I'm looking at right now that I just had to like kind of set aside while you were talking and look at this, the amount of points you guys have to spend to become like to get all of your power in the tree, your throughput power in the tree of being a Resto Druid is 12 points.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane. Like,
and so for raid, it's very boring because it's all about, okay, well, what do I need for this fight? Do I need a kick? Do I need a typhoon? Do I need a soothe? Do I need this? But in terms of power, you're essentially not giving up any power ever. And like this that you have built here, I would say, yeah, I would grab Wild Charge there.
and you need
and then
Lycara's
probably
teachings.
Roar. And
Yeah,
then,
like ours is throughput.
Yeah. So this right here is essentially your starting point, and then the question is, what do you want, right? Either go down the left to get the kick, or go down the right to get Typhoon. Is what I think your two choices are from here.
I can't for raiding. I can't believe you'd ever need the kick.
Yeah,
So-
for raiding, I would definitely default like that, and you might not even need the Typhoon, right? You might just
No,
take the
I
raid.
can't.
Dude,
I
this
can't remember
is
the last
so
time I
good.
typhooned. Yeah, it is. Like
Yeah.
if you are only interested in raiding, the tree builds itself. It's the most brain dead
Not
shit.
only does it build itself though, but you actually have options too. Like you could definitely like, I mean, you're never
Utility
gonna get a
wise,
kick in raid.
yes.
This is like kind of a major question though. It's like you're basically pressing every button you want in your tree, and I think if I'm looking at this correctly, you still have a point left to grab like Heart or Cyclone or something. But like this is in a raid like situation. You're the only class I've seen so far that is pressing actually every single button they would ever want to like do their job better.
Well,
maybe you're missing damage taken reduction. That's pretty huge.
The well-honed instincts down on the left side. That can be pretty nice
Yeah, that
for
current
survival.
conduit's really good. And then also just a 3% DR per point is like pretty insane. And we don't know the tuning of how Ursock's endurance is going to be in this expansion, but like, can you get that reliably actually if you needed to be more tanky? I guess you have to give up. So this is like in a raid environment. You just give up Typhoon.
Yeah. You would give up probably all the Boomkin stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's somewhat of an option, but again, it's like if you think about how many points you're spending to get, you're basically going it for thick hide and then down there for. I mean, it's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points, but you're still here, and all you're missing is Ursine. Definitely kind of fight dependent. When you actually shift into bear form, is not just for any damage taken. It's when like you're about to take like massive raid damage, and you do it for one global. There are even very hard raid fights don't necessarily have that kind of profile, so you don't always take that. But like this is just like a flat. I mean, you could also look at it as like choosing between that, and this also is something like a little bit more Mythic Plus centric because you might like Thrash and shit like that. I don't know exactly what Druids still do with that, but. Okay, but this is like a pretty generic raid build. That's fine. What are you guys teching into or majorly changing for Mythic Plus? I'm assuming no Nature's Vigil, no Innervate. Are you innervating yourself?
So I think Nature's Vigil Innervate could have its place. Well, so first of all, let's look at some of the important ones. Right above that, you're going to need to have Sunfire and the improved Sunfire, whatever. That's like a huge part of your. I don't know what's happening with our points. Yeah, you might need to start over. About the raid thing, real quick, it's like utility stuff. I think for a world first or like a competitive mythic scenario is very fun. Like you're looking at the tree, you're thinking like all this cool different niche stuff you can do. But my POV was more just like for the average raider guy who's like in the average guild, and I think you might not get a lot of like 5-head use out of all that stuff. But anyway, so yeah, I would do this. Yeah, Wild Charge, Roar, get Sunfire for sure. You need Sunfire. That's right above that. Right above that. Yep.
I have them both. That's actually really good that they give you an option to get Sunfire and improved Sunfire without having to go down the entire like full Moonkin specs or like form swap shit. That's very smart. That they realized that the Resto Druid would want that option. That's good.
Yeah, I think it's kind of troll that they put Sunfire as two separate talents, one to make it AoE.
Yeah.
And it's like it would be like making Swipe like a single target ability, and then being like, oh, by the way, if you invest another talent, you could turn Swipe into AoE. And I don't know who would take Sunfire as a single target ability. Like I guess on raid, like maybe it does more damage than something else you could use there, but it just feels heady almost to take the spell and be like, oh, by the way, we're going to turn it into a thing it's not, and then you can use another talent to make it into the thing it should be.
All right,
so I think I'm probably giving up Thick Hide. I don't think I'm taking Thick Hide in the one below it. because we don't have enough points there, and I think there's some other stuff that I want to get.
You both saw that I did go down and just grab the kick. What are your all's thoughts on that?
I would say, I actually walked through this on stream today. I would say right now there's maybe only 2 dungeons where I would feel like you need a kick. Unless you're bringing some like caster heavy comp where you just are struggling to come up with kicks. There's only a couple dungeons right now where I even feel like there's pulls where I'm like, man, I really wish we had another kick for this pull, or it's not doable. And I think you see that in the meta right now, that the highest keys are being done with a priest with no kick. And clearly if you can do that, then the healer kick is it's a luxury, not a necessity. I don't know that another kick would like enable you to do very many different pulls. You know, maybe you'd be able to bring in another pack because there's one thing you need to be able to stop and you couldn't previously, but I would say that's very situational, and I would guess on average I'm not taking it.
So I'm going to take the other side. I'm going to think this is, again, like you're thinking it in terms of what am I doing in MDI or what am I doing in an organized group, but you have to think the average person, man, they're just in like a plus whatever key, and there's no way that everything in a pack is getting kicked. Like you can literally never have enough kicks in pugs, and I think that's why you see shamans being more popular in pugs. Like I 100% agree that the top keys are being done with holy priests, but if you go down to like the plus 20 streets, the plus 25 streets, like they want a shaman, they don't want a holy priest, just because like they have those extra kicks. So I think in an organized setting, like I 100% agree with you, and I see myself mostly going down for Typhoon. But I think for the average pug guy, like if you're brand new to the spec or you're brand new to the game, yeah, you're probably not going to get much use out of kick. But I think for the average like Resto Druid enthusiast who's not doing super complicated stuff but also has some knowledge of their class, I think they'll get a lot of use out of kick and pugs.
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention that before he chimed in, that like you were using the like, or Growl said earlier about like the whole like race world first level thinking versus like the average pug or just cutting edge guild, AOTC guild, whatever. I think it's like the same thing in Mythic Plus, where you're thinking like at a very high level when you have like 3 other teammates that are all going to kick and you know it. If you're talking about like points you can take on a tree for a Mythic Plus kind of bouncing around groups, hovering around the like 13 to like 18 plus key level or something, you being a like very aware and good player and taking kick as a Resto Druid might give you a higher success chance in those level keys than like some other points on the tree. I think that's like pretty insightful. I think that's probably true.
My issue with that scenario is that it assumes that you're doing keys where nobody else in the group uses their kick, but you do. To me, if you're doing 13s on a Resto Druid, you're not using kick either. There's a reason you're doing 13s. Like at that skill level, none of you are using kick. And it's like, I don't expect the healer to be the guy that's like, oh man, I'm coming into this 13 and I'm smart enough to spec kick and use it. And I'm only interested in doing 13s. Like I have no desire to play with people that actually use their kick. I'm just gonna take kick and then pug my way through 13s.
I partially agree with that. To be fair, I said like 20s. I said like 20 range, not 13s. I would 100% agree that weekly 15 and lower, I would probably not expect a Druid to take their kick. But also, like, keep in mind, it's not like, all right, think about the alternative of what you're missing. Like, dude, just kicking once a pack or once every 2 packs, like, that's still something, right? Or like, oh, just so you can kick the Goliath and Spires. Like, even if you're not kicking anything else, like, oh, you just kick the Goliath and Spires because you know that's a bad spell. Like, I think I'm not saying that they're getting huge use out of their kick, but you know, at least you have something. But I mean, I do agree with you that there's sort of like a weird argument of like, well, it's great for pugs, but then you also have to be good in using it, and yeah,
something also on the note of kicking is that with actually I think when we saw the first Druid trees, I think like kind of the tinfoil was that you felt like maybe any healer right now that doesn't have a kick was going to get access to one, but then Priest showed us that they were not willing to give them that kick, most likely for PvP reasons.
No way those guys
but I don't know if that'll be true for another spec of healer currently, like maybe Holy Paladin gets a kick or something, I don't know. But one thing that's kind of been talked about this expansion with Mythic Plus too, since we're like doing like a Mythic Plus build, is like, do people actually really enjoy and care about and interact with dungeons that have like a million different kicks every pull versus like the idea that like kind of people just want to like mass pull everything and crank it. So like it's possible that to see whether they go in the direction of adding more kicks because they're technically more available in the game, or just removing the amount of total things you have to worry about in a pack and a dungeon in general. I think there's definitely a design decision to be made there, and there's been a lot of feedback on it, so it could change.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, again, right, the point isn't like which one's better. I think the point, and this is the cool part about the tree, is you can do either or. you can decide, do you want to be the guy that kicks? Do you want to be, because like, you know, I can make the same argument and say, what good is a Resto Druid and a +13 doing with Typhoon, right? But you have that agency over the way that you, which is like sort of the way it plays now anyway, in terms of like feral affinity versus balance, but you do have that option either way. But yeah, we kind of derailed a little bit.
I mean, either way, it seems like, again, this is just a very good tree in general. You're picking between tech. Is this by the way, is this like the Mythic Plus build? Are you going farther down here or anything? Like, are you doing any like crazy like I do damage with other spells shit, or is it literally just grab Sunfire, probably not even grab Kick, which means you're also not spending 3 points in this dog shit? What else are you guys doing with this? Or are you? Are you putting points in this dog shit?
Well, I'm doing that for the kick, right? You do need that stuff if you want the kick.
Let's do the JB build. JB on a...
yeah, JB, just rip a tree and then I'll critique it.
Yeah. JB, rip your Mythic Plus tree, no kick.
Okay, so Mythic Plus tree, no kick. First, you're taking the top 3 Moonkin talents.
Okay.
And this is to enable your Convoke.
Oh, let's fucking go. All right, I like this. What else?
So, assuming they haven't changed anything about Convoke, you always want to be Convoking in Moonkin form, not in Feral, because the Feral Convoke sucks ass. So, you're taking Moonkin for Convoke. Then I'm going down...
remove Corruption most likely for most keys, right?
Yeah, and just the fact that you need to go down that line to get the good stuff beneath it.
Sure, yeah, and right now as well, you have... You can't go further without spending 1 more point. So do you want to improve Bark Skin? Do you want Frenzied Regen? What do you want?
I'm also going down the Feral side. This is the annoying part, is like I want both. Like there's reasons to take both of these damage profiles for Feral and Moonkin. So I'm also taking Rake and Thrash and Swipe and Rip. Then I'm gonna, I guess let's lock in the ones that you really need. So you're gonna take the increased healing, you're gonna take Wild Growth. I'm not sure about improved rejuve for keys.
Okay.
That may be a thing that I may be willing to forego 3 seconds of rejuve duration for that. But yeah, you're definitely taking Sunfire. Typhoon is, honestly, if I had to pick between Typhoon and Kick, I take Typhoon.
Yeah, of course.
Because you can do big stops with Typhoon, but maybe not every dungeon. You know, that would be one that I'd be willing to sacrifice in the name of damage. If I'm just going for a straight damage build, this will prevent me from getting some things that I potentially want. So Typhoon is one of the optional ones. Otherwise, I'm continuing down the Feral side, taking the Swiftness talent that you have to get.
Something that hasn't been talked about in a ton of trees, but any class being able to talent into 8% movement per point is extremely fucking good.
Oh, yeah. So this is a thing. I feel like Raiders are a lot more hip to this than Mythic Plus players are. The value of speed rating for being able to do stuff, you know, more easily, like being able to do mechanics more easily. And I'll tell you when it really, as a guy who's played Resto Druid primarily for most of his at least recent career, it really hit home when I started playing Priest this tier on Jailer, and I added like 10% movement speed through a couple pieces, and it like changed the fight. It was so dramatically different having movement speed on a Priest. Whereas on a Druid, I never really cared because you always go into cat form and can run around and whatever. But having movement speed, especially that much of it off 2 talent points, is... I think a lot of people will look at that and be like, I'm a Druid, I don't need speed. And it's like, you do, you just don't appreciate it. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going down that line, and then I'm taking the one...
Wait, I do want to point out one more thing that you said, like Raiders are hip. That is not entirely true. So I remember that actually something will always be imprinted in my brain forever. And how little people think about utility like movement or blinks or things like that. I remember at some point in this expansion, Nightface Shadow Priest was simming like, I think it was like this is way long time ago. Because I remember looking at the sims at the time and talking to people, and Shadow Priest simmed like 0.2% lower single target to play Nightfae than it did to play Necrolord. And people were unironically choosing to play Necrolord, not including the fact that probably Soul Shape on a fight gives you more damage than just whatever that 0.2% difference is, right? Or not to mention like survivability and stuff like that. But like the average Raider is not. Like the high level Raider is going to think about that. The like regular ass like cutting edge AOTC Raider is not going to think about movement speed, and they'll take damage every single time. Okay, so continuing, you went down the Feline Swiftness. You don't go to Primal Fury, right?
Nope.
Okay, so
no, wait, yes, sorry, yes, yes, you go Primal Fury. This was part of Heart of the Wild Feral before that. When you crit, you gain more combo points. Now they're separating it from Heart of the Wild. Now it's just when you crit, you get combo points, which is nice. Like that's it'll be good for especially like big packs. When you swipe on big packs, you're almost guaranteed to crit something. So it's essentially double combo point generation.
Sure.
In Cap Roar is a sick AoE stop for
insane.
Mythic Plus. So definitely taking that. Now here's where this is the biggest question I have about Resto Druid's future in Dragonflight, which is what are they going to do with Moonkin form as Resto Druid? Right now, there's this like clunky ass implementation of Balance Druid for Resto Druid, where you have access to Star Surge, but it's on a cooldown instead of having Astral Power. And it sucks, I hate it, and it makes the spec like really weird to play. I wish they would just give us Astral Power as Moonkin. If they continue with the current implementation of Balance Druid, then I'm not going any further down that tree. But if they do, that capstone talent at the end of that line, the Führer one, has the potential to be insane for Moonkin, because you would shift into Moonkin, you would be able to rip like 3 Star Surges every 20 seconds. This is a problem. Like that Führer talent is difficult to justify as a normal Druid, because you'll never be not, like if you're doing Mythic Plus, it'll be rare that you are staying in one form or the other for 20 seconds. And so that Führer will like never proc for you. You'll be either in cat form or caster form, and you're gonna be switching back and forth so often that you'll never meet the requirements for it. But if you can use Balance Druid to do a bunch of Star Surges, you wouldn't go into that every 20 seconds. You could just on a 20-second CD bang Star Surges.
Yeah, I mean, I really doubt. I mean, I guess with like kind of it being different than like just picking Moonkin Affinity and they're actually just giving you Moonkin form, you could like super tinfoil hat think that they're thinking of that, but I'd be willing to bet almost anything that they're not. But that does go to show you that like if that isn't the case though, Führer is kind of a weird capstone talent. It's really weird to talk about capstone talents with Druids actually, because these are almost exclusively, they're like niche kind of like Nature's Vigil for some specs isn't as niche, but like they're all like kind of like niche specific things, where like in other trees, for example, they're like all like major power increases. Like they're big, like look at this shit, like they're insane buttons for anyone who's going to the bottom of these class trees, right? And Druid, because of just different philosophy, Druid decided to be much more like kind of utility based. So I wonder if they'd be able to look at that, or if tuning would show that classes that have way less power in their class tree are just like undertuned, for example, because they just are picking less things. But who knows? All right, so that Astral Power doesn't work, Jeb. Where are you going?
Yeah, but I've also been told that that's not gonna happen. So, okay, assuming that doesn't happen, you're not going Führer, then I'm gonna go down. I don't know that I'd take Wild Charge all the time if you don't have to. I may just leave that. So we may start with Soothe and then go Stampeding Roar. This is another thing that's annoying about Lycara's is when you go into Moonkin form, it gives you Mastery.
Which doesn't do anything.
Which doesn't do anything. And I'm gonna be going into Moonkin form before I rip Convoke. And now I'm pissed because I'm like, this is gonna do literally nothing for my damage when I go into the form that I'm going into when I'm trying to do the most damage. I think that's weird. I kind of wish they put Mastery on the human, like on the caster form, and then give Balance Druid the haste. I think that would make more sense. I think then everyone likes their secondary stat, whereas now I'm gonna not like it if I swap into Moonkin form. So anyway,
it won't feel bad when you're in like cat form though. Like I mean,
no, cat form will be good.
I mean, I think haste in your normal form is good. It's just that I think it's definitely something to look at, that Moonkins, Resto Druids can go Moonkin, not have Astral Power, and then also that one of the talents on their tree gives them Mastery and doesn't do anything, is certainly Critique, right? All right, so where are you going from here? Are you still grabbing Lycara's though?
Yeah, just to get
one of the few power. It's also one of the few power gaining points in the tree, right? So Renewal, grabbing Heart of the Wild for Dam. Got it.
Nope, not Renewal. I'm not a Renewal gamer.
You're not a Renewal gamer.
We'll go
Dude, you are a very aggressive Dam doer, J.B.
Yeah.
You are a very aggressive Dam doer. I can respect that.
Part of Renewal is, I just, as a Druid, I don't often feel like I am in, especially like, maybe this will change with Well-Honed Instincts getting removed, but I just feel like I'm never that scared of dying myself, to the point where especially with Warlocks being in the meta, and obviously these things are all subject to change, but like right now in the game, I feel like things have to be going very wrong for me to be like, God, I wish I had another heal I could use on myself.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I think Stampeding Roar, the Stampeding Roar trait is like actually like, dude, having Stampeding Roar on a 1 minute CD, like that's gonna be fucking, that's the kind of thing that you don't always appreciate in keys, and in outdoor keys, it's maybe not as big of a deal, but if you get into some indoor keys, you think like your Sanguine Depths or Theater, where you're on foot like the whole time, being able to just like rip a roar between every other pack.
No, it's nuts. Yeah, it's really good.
It's like you'll be flying.
Or rip it on a hard pack where it's like hard to actually dodge a million things on the ground, right? Like I mean, it has really good uses even defensively. But I think the reason they put this in the tree is because they wanted it to be like kind of reducing Druid's raid utility to where you didn't need to stack them and you could actually bring what Druids bring with less Druids. Like, for example, like Moonkins were not an insanely good class for Jailer, but the reason that multiple guilds ran a bunch of Moonkins on Jailer was you kind of needed a certain amount of movement speed increases on that fight to like do it at all. Because like you just were running around the whole fucking time. So like allowing any Druid spec now very easily, all 4 of them. I have no idea about Pharaoh actually, if their tree is much more restrictive. I heard it kind of is, but being able to have one Druid bring a 1-minute roar means that like if you ever need to stack roars on a fight, which absolutely exists, you just need to bring half as many as you did before, which is kind of insane. So very good. And where's your all's Mark of the Wild? That's kind of a new thing to talk about. Is that not on your tree? Is it on is it just baseline?
It's base.
Oh, yeah,
Druid is base.
Yeah, Druid baseline. A lot of people, I wanted kind of to bring that up in general. I'm actually, I hope I don't blind everyone. I'm warning everyone I'm opening a very white spreadsheet. Okay, actually I'm just going to minimize it so it doesn't blow your head off. So, I kind of took a little liberty in making like Monk and DK tanks and taking them out of the rest of the raid comp just because that's what people are running now, so it's more relatable. But if anyone else was wondering why this is on their screen, this is what a 20-man raid comp looks like next raid, with obviously identifying you could run a warrior or a demon hunter as a tank and run a windwalker and a DK DPS. You could bring a paladin DPS or a tank instead of a paladin healer, and you can bring a shadow priest instead of a healer priest. But just understanding that you'd run 1 healer priest, 1 paladin. Right now, these are the classes next expansion that are borderline required to be in any raid. Obviously, Moonkin could also be resto. But before, when typically this was only 7 classes, now it's, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you have like realistically like 7 to like 9 raid spots. DK is not necessarily a raid buff. The way I would describe it as one is there are things that DKs can do on niche raid fights where they're required just as much as any other raid buff, but you get the point, right? So like that's like just, and Wind Fury is also very arguable, but you can just look at the things that like exist in a raid. It just like kind of makes it crazy to think about like how little options you're gonna have. And I think that might have been their thinking behind the Moonkin thing. Is like before, to kind of fill in what you would need in a generic raid fight, in this expansion it kind of in a lot of cases looked like this. But with the 1-point roar, it might mean like 1 Moonkin and 1 Resto, for example, and that just gives you the roars you had last expansion from 4 Druids, right? So I think that might have been a little bit along their line of thinking. Anyways, random side note and insane to think about. But all right, do you guys have any more? Jeb, you have one more point on your tree actually. Where are you going?
Definitely
Ursel?
Wild Charge.
Or Ursels? Or Mass Entangle?
Yeah, it's gonna be Ursels, so you can do the.
Whoa! Hold on.
Typhoon. No. Typhoon with. If you're gonna bring Typhoon, you gotta have Ursels with that.
Nope.
I'm not doing a shotgun Typhoon.
So JB is a no renewal, no wild charge gamer. That's pretty insane. I mean, dude. I mean, the thing is you actually could want to do that. It's not like a very practical thing that a lot of people are doing, and he's also thinking about it from like a very, like, high key level point of view of like min-maxing everything out of your class. But there's definitely gonna be a lot of cases where like you'll much more often choose both renewal and wild charge, I think. But yeah. All right, whatever. We've talked enough about that. Actually, Growl, did you have any notes on that before we moved on to the spec tree?
It looks good.
What? What's wrong? You don't like it?
I mean, he just built a Druid talent tree in M+ that doesn't have Wild Charge. He doesn't even have Innervate. There's 1 talent point. There's so many like good 1 talent points in there, like Urson Vigor, like improved Rejuve. Maim is in there too that he could have gotten. And you're going for the like crit Feral Moonkin hybrid Convoke. You're out of your mind.
Screenshot this. We'll come back to it.
No, it's definitely like I understand exactly what he's going for, and in his defense, a healer in M+ is never going to be the meta unless it's doing a lot of damage. And so if you try and build a talent tree of a healer that doesn't do damage, you're not going to be the meta spec. So that's what, you know, he's going to be the best.
True. Actually true. That's a good take. All right, so let's move on to the Resto tree. I actually don't think I've looked at this one at all, and I'm interested to see your capstone talents. One thing that I noticed that's very unique with Resto Druid is that they have 7 capstones, and it's not a major investment to get to any of them. This is very different from every spec I've seen. The 3 nodes right before the last thing are all 1 to 2 points, and then it is a 3-point at most like investment to get to any actual singular capstone thing, which I think is really cool design in general. So let's see what they have. Let's think about raid healing first, and then transition it into Mythic Plus. Any of you can start.
All right, I'll start so we don't get too far off the rails. All right, so take the top 4 for sure, because we need all those. We need 2 in Life Bloom, 1 in Iron Bark as well. In the next row, the Wild Growth one is super good in raid.
Oh yeah, Wild Growth 1 additional. Okay.
Yep, and we're not going to be
Trank.
pressing regrowth, so we don't want that. We're going to grab Trank. We're going to go down the... We'll also take the 2 inner piece, I think, in the middle. Those could maybe be changed. Yep, that one right there. Depending on the fight, those can be changed, but I'm just going to put those in there for now.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
I
want
see
to
it.
take those out. The main problem is that there just aren't really that many nodes here that we can... Because we need to put 20 points here, right? So anyway, on the left side, we'll take 2 on the Wild Growth. And then
Before
we'll
we do
also-
that, is this something you
Sorry.
might potentially take 1 point into just for the value of the second part?
Yo, yeah, absolutely. Well, also for rating, it's very fight specific too, right? Like you can just say, okay, well, adding 1 point in this will give me 1 extra trank, or allow me to trank these 2 hard cards, or 2 points will do the same thing. You know, so I think
Yeah,
this
exactly.
will be very fight specific.
Yeah, it's really smart.
But yeah, absolutely, being immune to knockbacks, again, that's fight specific too, right? Like if there's a knockback during a hard moment, you can grab it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
Okay,
continue.
so 2 in Wild Growth on the left. We'll take Soul of the Forest, that's in the diagonal one.
Yep.
And then also the one below the Wild Growth one. Probably take Abundance in the middle row. I think Cenarian Ward is
Is
fine,
this
too.
currently in the game?
Yep.
Okay. Cenarian Ward, you said?
Actually, is it? I don't know. You're talking about the improved one in the
It
bottom
says
left.
it
I
says
don't think that
NNF.
is.
Oh,
I don't think
oh,
that is.
sorry.
No,
No,
that
was
one
not.
isn't.
Sorry.
No,
That's
the
actually-
Sunward Abundance choice.
It's kind of like a mixture of like Shaman's Mastery currently, but just for those 2 spells. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, gonna be really good for Prog, I think, too, in those moments where like.
Oh,
you get
definitely.
healing.
Way better in Prague than any time after. Okay, Abundance or
Yep.
a free treat?
Yeah,
to
I
go
would
back
take
to?
Abundance. There might be some fights where you want Sunward. So how many more points do we need here?
Great question.
Just to
You
kinda, like-
need 5 more to enter the capstone.
Yeah,
part of the tree.
see, this is like sort of why we're taking what we're taking. So take Ysera's Gift on the right, and then probably take the 2 in the improved Bark Skin as well. We don't really love these talents, but we want them to get
The improved
max
Iron Bark?
Yep.
What
we
about
need that to
cultivation?
get.
When Rejuve heals a target below 60%.
Yeah, I'd
it
probably
applies-
grab Cult too. I'd
I
probably
mean, if you're
grab
doing
all
raid
those.
healing, it's definitely cultivation instead of
Yep.
improved Iron Bark. But yeah,
Well, we need Stonebark to get the one below it, because that's I think that's worth the points for
sure. Let's just see what we're leaving. So right now we're leaving Nourish. Can come back to it later. We're leaving Nature Swiftness, improved Nature Swiftness, and Iron Bark reduction. Okay. I hope
Yep.
they actually give you the option to take those, because if what I'm thinking is true, and a lot of these down here seem very throughput based, I think all of them, it's gonna be kind of hard to put 2 points into like a reduction where that actually could be like cool tech for a certain fight. But yeah,
Yep,
who knows?
yep.
Okay. Anyways, so grabbing down to get this. Okay, where are we going after that?
Here, I think we're always taking Memory of the Mother Tree. It's so good for 1 point. It's like a little annoying because it's like a proc thing, but it's still good. Unfortunately, because we don't want to share, but we do have to take Improved Innervate
Okay.
because we want stuff below it. I think we might end up taking all 3 of those below us. The first one, the bottom left one, the ephemeral one, that's our tier set. That's really, really strong. The next one is Flourish. Flourish is also giga strong for healing. And then Visions, I think the very last one might be like an HPS question that we might need the Druid Discord to figure out, but on paper that seems probably pretty good, especially if we're getting longer rejuves from all of our other talents, and also Memory of the Mother Tree is giving us some free rejuve.
What other things look insane like before getting down to the capstones? So like Spring Blossoms, Rampant Growth, Autumn Leaves.
So honestly, none of them are that good. There's some of them that are definitely worth taking for 1 point. So Spring Blossoms on the far left is definitely one we want to take, just because F-Low is a button that we press anyway, and we get some free
Yo, I
healing
kinda
from
wanna
it, and I think
talk
it's
to
worth it,
her.
just the 1 point. Down the middle, the Improved Rejuve, those 2 are each very good for 1 point. Improved
Do you mean
Rejuve-
Autumn Leaves?
Or yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, I just look at the icon and say.
Yeah,
Improved
sure,
that.
got it. So
Yep. So this was an Azurite trait in BFA. It was very strong one-off for raid, because a lot of times you're just blanketing the raid and rejuves. And then this one, I'm actually not sure. So you have the tier set proc already, so I think you might actually take Convoke over Incarn. This might be, people who are smarter at raid might know better than me, but Convoke in combination with your other stuff, like you can still proc tree with your 4 set and then use the Convoke during your tree. So it's to me it feels like you probably want Convoke. I might be wrong about that, or it could be fight specific maybe. How many? We have 1 point left, I think, right?
You have 2 points left.
Okay. So, oh yeah. So on my tree, I just put 2 in inner piece just because. So none of the ones in the bottom left I find that interesting. Germination is something that you'll almost never do in raid.
The fuck is inner peace?
Sorry, the one of two, the shortened trank one in the very middle of the tree.
Oh, got it. So you put an extra point to inner. Sure.
Yeah, so I had that. There's definitely going to be fights where you want that. So on the left side, I think you ignore that whole tree.
20%.
Great Mythic Plus stuff, but just stuff that is not particularly effective in raid. Lots of single target stuff or like DPS oriented.
So germination has to happen, right? But I just don't know if there's anything under here that's like much.
No, I don't think you play German raid. I might be wrong.
I think you do just for the extension on the rejuve.
Oh no, okay, I didn't even read that. It extends the. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely playing that then. So then, so some options real quick. So if we decide to not take inner peace, we can take either improve convoke. Improve convoke is probably going to be pretty good. That's the very bottom middle of the tree. We could also take the bottom of the left tree, the photo or double life bloom, which also could be good. And I don't think the other two passives are very good.
Doesn't seem like you have like giga options. Like this is kind of what I was talking about.
Yeah,
earlier.
it's
I don't
a raid
think,
build.
dude. I mean, even in a raid build, like I don't think like you want like okay, like the thing that is obviously variable with raid is you could dunk points out of inner peace based on the fight. But a lot of times, like I don't know if Trank's gonna be better next expansion, but like I could definitely see you just grabbing the one. Like having a damage reduction when you're casting Trank or casting really any like spell where you can't do anything while it's out is good in high level rating. So yeah, so Germ. I just wonder if you'd take any of these. That's okay.
Like I think. All right, so take go down all the way down the middle with improved convoke. I think
this is gonna require testing, no question.
Yeah, right. And then we reset our things, right? But then we probably want all the stuff in the bottom right again, and then I think that's 30.
Dude, does anyone know, by the way? Like I'm assuming. Has this been data mined to like, does anyone have any fucking clue what this actually means?
So this is the part of the Night Day Legendary, and what that means is in raid, so you get a flourish. I believe every other convoke is the way it works. It's like a weird deck system.
People in chat are saying
it's a deck of cards.
Oh, it's okay. So it's card deck random. Okay.
Yeah. So it's card deck random, but you get very frequent flourishes, which in like when you're convoking in raid is very strong. Like flourish is one of the strongest raid CDs that you could have, and just for 1 point to get more of it, it's very good.
Okay, cool. So you grab all this shit, whatever. I don't even remember what they were, but yeah. Okay, so that's a good idea for raid build. All right, so you guys are now Mythic Plus gamers. What are you slamming?
JB can rip it up now.
All right.
I mean, well, first let me say that I think the raid tree is like super brain dead, and I think I agree with virtually everything that Growl just said with picks. Like I think there's going to be very little variation on.
It looks really good though. It looks like you. It looks like you have all your stuff and you're really strong. You're just saying that like there's not a lot of interesting decisions to make.
And that's like if you. Here's what I think. Here's how I think it's going to work. If you like Shadowland Resto Druid right now, I think you're going to love whatever the hell we turn into in Dragonflight, because it's the same thing. There are, I believe, 2 talents on this tree right now that are not already in the game in some capacity for Druid. And that is the improved Trank and Wild Growth and the Invigorate talent that you select on the Memory of the Mother Tree choice node. You won't take Invigorate for rating, and the Trank one is, kind of whatever. So for the most part, everything else that we have on this tree is something that already exists in the game, and honestly not even that far back. Like the oldest stuff that you have on here is that line with Spring Blossoms where they threw in some Azurite traits, the Rampant Growth, Autumn Leaves, and Grove Tending from BFA. But otherwise everything on here was a legendary or Covenant effect from Shadowlands. And so this is basically just the entire Resto Druid kit that you have right now, except you can take all of it for the most part. That the only thing that you have to pick between right now is Convoke and Incarn.
Yep.
And otherwise you just get everything, and you get more. Like you get more stuff than you have now. And so if you like how Druid plays, and this is the other thing, is like Resto Druid is insanely strong in HPS right now, and I don't see anything on this tree that is going to be changing that. And I think Druid is going to be one of the least impacted healer classes when they remove Covenants. Like, I don't think Druid is going to lose a whole lot of HPS from taking away Covenant. This tree is like, it's kind of boring in my opinion, but it's going to be strong as fuck for raids. Like Druids are going to stay HPS monsters unless they start getting like aura nerfs to their spells.
Definitely. This is also one of the only times they've ever, actually, I wonder if this is still the case on Warcraft logs, where Like if you look at like overall healing for an entire raid, like they find this is definitely not the best way to look at like how accurate healing is at the moment, but like you're seeing like the 3 top healers are the 3 healers that have been, you know, getting shafted for well, like Holy and Disc, obviously you have a choice, but like the 2 like HPS healers that don't have like damage reducing effects, they've now made them to where like these 2 specs crank. They were both prevalent in the race ruled first, and Holy
That's
Priest.
exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, Holy Priest is insanely stacked.
A little bit too much, I think, on the Druid side, but
yeah, Druid probably does more healing than it should. But like the point is that they've seen it now where Discipline, Resto, and Holy Paladin were stacked for so long and they were so powerful for so long, healing wise on top of their damage reduction stuff, that now Blizzard has like made this the meta for one raid. It took them too long to do it, but you still saw people bring Holy Paladin. You still saw them situationally bring Resto Shaman. You still saw them situationally bring Disc Priest. Probably Resto Shaman the least out of the 3. But the point is Holy Paladin was still brought all the time, even though looking at this number, they're ass. But like they do a certain kind of healing that is valuable to like fit into a healer comp, and they allowed the like HPS healers to shine. The reason I'm saying this is there's a really good chance that they allow Resto Druids to still be that HPS cranker that you're bringing just for healing, and it like doesn't really give you a lot much else. But the fact that you can bring a 1-minute roar as a healer now too with that, yeah, they're definitely at a point. I mean, it's good too. I mean, we had it hits home for me because we had like an insanely good Resto Druid player, Refute, who like played with us for a really long time, but Resto Druid just wasn't really playable at the highest level for like 2 years, and so he just quit because he was just a one trick and he didn't want to play anything else. And then now like Resto Druid is insane, and it doesn't look like they're gonna not be insane going forward. So
Now, the one thing I would like to say is I would love to see Blizzard nerf Convoke. It's a stupid fucking spell. I don't like it, and I want to see it nerfed.
that's a fucking fiery one. All right. Okay. Why is that?
It's like it's just like all of your buttons, but mashed into one mega button. Like it's so boring. It's like just take my spell book and empty it out every 2 minutes. And
Dude, just as like a non-druid, I feel like the exact opposite thing. I feel like it's one of the Covenant abilities that captured like the Covenant it was a part of, but also gave like something unique and cool. Like, I feel like Convoke is like one of the coolest Covenant abilities in the game, but I understand from someone who's played with it a lot that it would be like something you don't like. I think also another thing is that it's insanely powerful. Like it might be one of the most powerful buttons in the whole game. So maybe that's the take, but I mean, if you're like a Druid player, I don't think you want Convoke removed because I feel like you wouldn't gain that power back in other places.
I think Druid's going to get nerfed in ways that it probably doesn't need to get nerfed to account for Convoke when the problem is Convoke. And I don't know. I think it's a problematic ability, and I also think it's kind of boring. Like I don't think it's it's powerful, and that's where you really get into the question philosophically of like, what is it that makes an ability fun? Because a lot of people say they think Convoke is fun, but I think I think they're just conflating that with it's really strong, and I like pressing a button. It's fun to press a strong button, but the ability, if you made Convoke suck, I don't think people would be like, oh, it's really fun to press Convoke. It's like it's a channel spell. First off, channel spells, like if it didn't do anything, like if it wasn't strong, you wouldn't find it fun to press. It would just be like, oh, I'm channeling this ability.
I think there's different. I think there's different parts of that. So the channeling the ability thing can be one thing, especially if the channel is like a long channel. That definitely matters. But like things being really strong and being fun are not mutually exclusive, because there's a lot of cases where if you're going to give any class any ability, no matter what interaction it is, and at the very worst case scenario, it's a button you press and it just does damage. If that button fucking owns and you see your lot of, and I think it looks cool too. I just think, is it actually just a full 4-second channel?
Yeah, I mean, it's not affected by haste, so no matter what you are channeling for, or if you're doing the,
it's probably just because it's a 4-second channel is fucking whack. That's just long. Yeah, I get that.
At least you can move with it, which is trauma that Druids have to process every expansion, is when Blizzard gives and takes the ability to walk around while tranking. So at least you can move around while convoking. Yeah, I'm not a big channel fan.
Did we make this thing into a Mythic Plus one yet?
So I think in order to turn it into Mythic Plus, honestly, so you're still taking 4, you're still taking Ironbark, you're still taking Improved Life Bloom. You're probably taking, let's see, how many points do I got to put in here to?
Hey, one more point to move on.
Okay, so I think you take, it's going to be either Improved Nature Swiftness or Improved Ironbark.
Well, you have to pick one. Are you getting
JB's
Trank?
doing my build. This is the Bong Cloud M+er build.
Are you not getting Trank?
I don't think so.
Well, let's fucking go.
Yup.
Maybe. It'll depend. We'll have to see how many points I have to stash in this tree at a certain point. But neither of the two talents leading down to Trank are anything I want for keys.
Oh no, I like this though. This is sick. Keep going.
So,
Fuck me up
okay.
with this no Trank build.
Yeah, so either Ironbark or Nature's Swiftness, don't really care which. You're taking Unstoppable Growth, you're taking Soul of the Forest, you're taking Ysera's Gift. Let's say Colt for now. Take Sin Ward, probably take Improved Trank and Wild Growth. This could actually be, so depending on what kind of modifier this puts on your Trank, this could be actually nice for keys. One of the biggest problems with Tranquility and keys is that it's a channeled spell, so you can't react to anything while you're casting it, and it does healing. While most of the time in a key, your group is not taking symmetrical damage. So everyone's getting healed for the same amount, but very often you have either one person that is getting hit harder because they play a class with no defensives, or some of the healing's going into a class that doesn't need the healing, like they're not in danger of dying, they have self-healing or whatever. And so one of the things I dislike about Trank is that when you press it, you almost have to be sure that nobody's going to get spiked during the duration of the Trank, because you can't react to that. So if this is actually a strong modifier to how much healing Trank does when somebody gets low on health, this could make Trank a more interesting ability and actually make me want to use it in keys. But that's kind of TBD. I need to see what that.
This is a potential major. Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone needs to know the modifier, but if it's like even somewhat significant, that makes Trank so much fucking better. It's like, I mean, this one talent node could make Trank like one of the better healing cooldowns effectively, but it's probably not going to be that strong. I'm thinking like Shaman Mastery levels of strong.
Yeah, I don't expect it to be strong, but
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe Blizzard surprises me.
Like, I'm gonna guess like when you're with the entire raid below 25% health or something, or two players below 25% health, it does like maybe 20 to 30% more healing or something. I really doubt it's gonna double or like be 50%. Okay, so you're taking that, and you need. So where are you going?
Okay, so this is where we may go back and
wait.
take
First
Trank.
of all, are you taking improved Trank and Wild Growth without Trank?
Well, it would be to access the stuff beneath it. So I think we're at the point now where we may end up taking Trank just to spend points.
Okay.
I think if you go 2 in Improved Regrowth, 1 in Trank, 1 in Inner Peace.
Okay. And then you've unlocked it.
So this is another thing where the one sort of new unique thing that has been introduced to this tree is that Invigorate talent that's underneath the Improved Stonebark. And that's one that I'll need to see how strong that is in practice, because I could see a scenario where you pair Overgrowth on the left choice node with Invigorate on the right choice node, and it would turn it into an insane single target cooldown. You would be able to throw a ton of hots on the one target every minute, and then every 45 seconds you would be able to just like supercharge that.
Yeah, I see that.
And so
yeah.
I could see that being like a 1 minute oh shit button of you just Overgrowth, Invigorate, and the person's like invincible for the duration of that, but I'm not sure how that'll play out. So in the meantime, well, you're going to take either Spring Blossoms or Overgrowth. I don't know which one, but let's say Spring Blossoms for now, as it's more traditional.
Sure.
You're going to take Germ, not because we're especially big Germ gamers, but because everything underneath it's good.
Okay.
You're going to take Adaptive Swarm. You're going to take Circle of Life and Death. I'm
Okay.
not sure about Photo and Dark Titans. Let me see what you can get in the rest of this tree. So you're also taking Autumn Leaves, the Rejuve talent, and then you're taking Convoke, and you're taking Improved Convoke.
Sure.
Because that Improved Convoke's going to get you more Star Surges. All right, so we got 3 points left. I guess probably put one into like Photosynthesis, and then wait, no, hold on, I fucked up. I keep forgetting that Flourish. Okay, no, you got to go get Flourish. Take it out of Photo, and then we're probably going to put it into either, I don't know. I'll want to probably see how strong Invigorate is. I could definitely see myself playing like an Invigorate and Overgrowth combo. One of those choice nodes, and then you're going to take Improved Innervate, even though I'm not taking Innervate.
Yeah, that's a problem. Like having this be here when you assume that just all Resto Druids are going to grab Innervate. I mean, well, you didn't grab Innervate for you, Bill. I imagine most people are going to grab Innervate, but it does feel weird to put it here, especially because, like, if you're considering taking something else down here for Mythic Plus, why are you spending points on giving it? I mean, I guess you get a passive, like mana regen.
Yeah, I don't care about that either, but I guess this is the price you pay for. It does seem interesting that Druid has this problem twice. It has the fact that you can take Improved Innervate separate from Innervate, and you can take Improved Tranquility separate from Tranquility, and separate from Wild Growth, I guess. You could actually have an Improved Tranquility and Wild Growth talent that buffed 2 spells that you don't have, and then same with improved innervate.
Yeah, I think maybe the idea with those two is that you will have them though. But yeah, I kind of see what you mean. But the innervate is definitely interesting. I wonder if they could think about putting that on like one of these side nodes somewhere instead of it being something on the way to things that may not interact with it.
Wait, hold on. I gotta add in here. See, JB needs another hit of the bong. Okay, so we're going back. We're taking away Train. So put 2 in that improved Stonebark so that we can get to that node, right? Hold on, care. Yeah. Okay, there you go. All right, put 1 in the top right, improved Stonebark. You have 1 of 2.
Yeah.
And then put 1 in Nourish in the very left side.
Okay.
And then remove the 2 in improved Regrowth that's connected to Trank. Because
Sure.
I think Nourish might be good. So this frees up so we have only 20 points. And that are only 20 points here.
We do
without
not have
taking
20
Trank.
points. We have
How many-
19.
hold on. Oh, put 1 more in improved Ironbark on the top right.
Sure. Now we have
Yeah.
20.
Okay, now we have 20. So now we can go the whole left side, and we can go down to take Flourish if we want, and still get Convoke. Yeah, I'm interested to try that Invigorate Overgrowth build, but that's a little less traditional.
What are we getting instead here?
Go straight down. I'm actually not taking Improved Convoke because I
Sure.
think that's what you have.